8 weeks. If your doctor decides that you can self-inject Tremfya, proper training is required. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions, increased risk of infections or lower ability to fight them, and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or need a vaccine. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
Elijah Campbell here from 107.5 The Game, and spring cleaning is in full swing. And if you're hosting graduation parties or family get-togethers, Zerorez can help you get your home ready. Get carpets cleaned for just $35 per room and stairs for only $35, 50% off the standard price, plus take $50 off air duct cleaning, all by mentioning 107.5 The Game. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, just a deeper clean that lasts longer. Appointments are filling fast. Visit ZerorezColumbia.com to book today.
I'm Dan Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, millions of people called us for representation. Why? Because trust grows when you win, and we've won a lot. Over $30 billion and counting. When you call America's largest injury law firm, you're calling a family. You're calling an army, our army. You're calling somebody who will fight for you. Injured? Let our family fight for your family. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Joe Standifer, Esquire, 11915 Plaza Drive, Suite 301, Burroughs Inlet, South Carolina, 29576.
How can I help you?
Live agent?
How can I help you?
Live agent!
Stop talking to robots and start talking to Cumulus Digital. When you have questions about your business, you shouldn't have to settle for a virtual person. You need a real local marketing expert who knows your streets and your neighbors. We're right here. For personal service and proven results, visit cumulusdigital.com, fill out the form, and connect to a real person.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
The Extra Point.
And the kick is good!
With Tyler Head and Jack Beltry from Gamecock Central on the Game Network, the 107.5 The Game app, and at the Game TV radio on YouTube.
Before we get to David Ubben's findings and what exactly would happen in a 2014 playoff if we implemented that bad boy back in 2014 when we as a college football society decided we don't want to just have two teams participating for the national title every single year. We do have some good stuff here on the Firehouse Subs text line, Preston Thorne.
What's up?
One, I want to start with Jonathan. Jonathan says, winner from our winner segment.
Oh, nice. What's up? Thank you.
Gave a winner to the Citadel Bulldogs. First conference championship since 2010. And they're playing in a regional.
Shout out to the Citadel Bulldogs. Made me reconsider our sweep, their sweep of the Gamecocks this year. I didn't let them off the hook, but I did reconsider.
You didn't fool Denny Green. They are who we thought they were. You let them off the hook type deal.
Didn't let them off the hook, but it does make me be like, okay.
You
whatever.
can, on paper,
yes.
It is getting swept by an NCAA tournament.
There you go. I'm sure somebody could spin that in. I'm sure some PR guy could spin that.
Oh, see, that PR advice was free, baby. I gave that out for free. I didn't have to charge anybody from it. We also talked about our sports bucket list and our boy Walt, who, excited for our early game extra bonus hour here.
Appreciate you, Walt.
He said, run the ball, maybe a Wizards shout out, but he also says seeing the Wizards at Capital One Arena must be on that list.
You know what? It's interesting when you get to DC. It's like it's right there. You know, you get off. I think it's the Chinatown station, and it's like boom, it's right where you can see it. So hopefully there are some good things in your future as a Wizards fan. Because Walt, I gave you a shout out for long-suffering fans. I believe a Wizards fan would count.
I don't know if Walt was alive to see the Washington Bullets win an NBA championship with Wes Unseld being the Finals MVP.
Shout out to you, Walt, for sure.
being a Wizards fan, not for the faint of heart.
No.
But they did win the lottery, so they will have the number 1 overall pick. That pick's better. That's got to be AJ DeBanza.
Has to be.
Has to be.
Okay.
I think it has to be.
All right.
AJ DeBanza. But Walt is quite literally the only Wizards fan I know. So he fits a very good category. I know fans of a lot of different teams. Obviously, I will meet a lot of people in my 31 years of life, and I just experience life through the scope of sports. So I can think of any team and have some relation to somebody I know, maybe a multitude of people. I can confidently say Walt is the only Washington Wizards fan I have ever met in my life. The only one. And I've never even been to Washington, D.C., so that's a bucket list thing on its own. And I would definitely, if I'm in D.C., would love to go to a Wizards game. I'm also that much of a sicko.
Very accessible. You can make that thing happen quickly.
If it's Wizards Kings, I would still be there. I'm in. Wouldn't matter. I would still be in. We had another one too. A texter says a game at the Emirates in London.
Okay.
I responded. I said I would go to any high intensity, high energy game, soccer game in London or in England. Those people are crazy. I want to be a part of it.
Now, I console myself. I am a fake, 1,000% fake Tottenham Spurs fan. And, boy, to be in the building for that last game, for the lemon booty factor, I'm sure was very high.
Buddy, as a Tottenham Hotspur fan, again, loosely, because I just don't follow the Premier League the same way I do other sports, it's on the back burner, but I have a favorite team. I want to be part of the discourse.
I just picked them because they were chickens.
And I like that. I picked them because they're named after a Shakespearean character. So I'm like, that is cool.
Roll with it.
The history buff in me loves that. So that was the origin of I guess, my quote-unquote fandom. But even I was watching that game on Sunday with a little bit of lemon booty on my couch whenever it got to extra time and relegation is on the line.
Talk about some things on the line.
Supreme embarrassment if they were to have lost that game. That's the extent of my Premier League coverage. Yeah, that one would not have been fun. Summer reading recommendation. If you've never read the book Fever Pitch, which is the book that the movie was based off of, have to read it. It's because it's about British soccer, but about the craziness of the fans. It's a collection of wild stories, but it's awesome. But Tommy brought up something too that we'll get to before we get to the college football playoff. He says, since y'all are back, do you see a situation where Kevin Schnall is a head coach and Powell is associate head coach?
I think that depends on a lot of conversations on both sides. It depends on what both sides want to do, how they fit with each other. Do they have a previous relationship? I think a lot of times the assistant, associate, head coach has to be somebody who you are eye to eye with, somebody who you are in lockstep and key, especially in a job that's this big. I just don't know what their relationship is. If that's even something that's on the table for either one of them.
It's something I would lay out as a possibility, because then there's the whole idea of, if let's just say you hire Kevin Schnall and he wants to bring in people from Coastal, right? Including Matt Williams, a pitching coach, who used to coach here too. I think you kind of have to let him have his pick of the litter when it comes to the staff. But if he is open to maybe hiring an assistant from other places, I could see a benefit of having Landon come in and using his expertise in the area, his ability to maybe be, because you don't really necessarily need the Sherpa that we talked about if you brought in Dan Fitzgerald, who has never coached in the state of South Carolina. You would need a Sherpa-like character to be able to show him where the recruiting pipelines in the state are. You wouldn't maybe necessarily need that to the same degree with Kevin Schnall, but it still could be a benefit to have somebody like Landon on the staff. I think that could be a beneficial relationship if Schnall wants it, if he's hired as head coach. If he wants it, then there's a benefit there. If he doesn't want it, I think you're kind of at the mercy of whoever you're bringing in to be able to bring your own staff, because I think that would be part of the draw of the job too, naturally. Now, we'll break this kind of up into two here, but David Ubben from The Athletic did a story over the weekend where he looked at the college football playoff, if it were to have ever expanded to 24 teams, and they applied this back in 2014 when we first started doing the CFP, and it was just a 4-teamer.
he did come to the conclusion that 80 different schools would have participated in that 2014 playoff by now. Now, does that change exactly how we feel about this event? And if I tell you that South Carolina would have had 2 different appearances, would that change anything at all about how you feel about the idea of moving to a 2014 format?
It would change how I feel about the program until I saw what everybody else did, and then we back into comparison. So on the surface, that feels good. Okay, we made it two years, we made the playoffs 2 times. But then when you say that, and then I look at the other teams who have programs of consistency that I would like to model ourselves after, NC State, Iowa, these type of teams who consistently win 8 to 10 games in a year, and in that same period. Throughout the same exercise would have gone to 5, 6 playoffs, it kind of drops me back down. I don't feel so good about it.
Because I think that's kind of, like, if you're an Iowa football fan, one of the cool things that you can say is, hey, we win a lot of games every year. Don't necessarily compete for a national title, but you're ending in a good bowl game every year, and more oftentimes than not, you're winning those bowl games, right? They beat Vanderbilt in the artist formerly known as the Outback Bowl to end their season, and they felt good about the team they had. If you're constantly going to the playoffs, or consistently, I don't say constantly, they would have made it 6 times in a 12-year stretch. They'd have made half of the available CFPs.
I would say that's constantly every other year.
Yeah,
I'm with that.
Constantly getting in. Do you still feel the same way about your program if you're one and done each time? Do we still look at Kirk Ferentz the same way? Because I think that's maybe one of the inadvertent side effects that would come from this thing is how certain coaches that aren't at maybe the blue chip programs would be judged, right? You're no longer judged by just making it. Yeah, it's good to make it that many times, but if you're not advancing, do people start getting weary and tired of that? We'll put a pin in that because I want to discuss that and maybe some other effects that this thing would have if we just applied this article to the last 12 years of college football. We'll elaborate a little more next here on The Extra Point.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Learning to drive, getting married, the birth of your children. These are the life-changing events you remember your whole life. I'm Jason Reynolds. A serious injury changes your life too, in a very different way.
I'm Stephen Samuels. At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we get you. We can't erase the injury or change the past, but we can get you through the pain and anxiety and help you on to a brighter future.
We get South Carolina because we're true South Carolina. Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
If your lawnmower's sat all winter, you're running out of time to get it ready for spring. Now for a limited time, Cato's Power Equipment is offering special spring service pricing with push-more tune-ups starting at $100 and zero-turn services starting as low as $200. Let Cato's get your equipment tuned up and ready for the mowing season ahead. Need help getting your mower to us? Pickup and delivery starts at just $50. Don't wait. Call or stop by Cato's Power Equipment today and get your mower ready before the grass takes over. Visit CatosPowerEquipment.com.
Is your crawl space damp or musty? Water in your crawl space can cause wood to rot and creates an environment for mold and mildew that can make its way inside your home. Canty Foundation Specialist specializes in crawl space repair. Call us today for your free inspection so you can have the peace of mind knowing your crawl space is dry and your home is protected. Call today, 803-424-8380, or visit cantycanfixit.com.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
I checked Allstate first and saved hundreds on my car insurance. Really smart. Unfortunately, I didn't check if I took the gas hose out of my car's tank. Ooh, not smart. And I drove off while still attached to pump number 3.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Potential savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate North American Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Pros. Save more on the materials you need to get the job done, inside and out, at Lowe's. Right now, get 10% off in-stock Trex Naturals decking, now available in more styles. Plus, get 15% off select custom entry, interior, and storm doors. Then, we'll deliver it all straight to your job site to help keep your jobs moving. Get the brands pros trust, priced right, and ready when you need them. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 5/27. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Many times, a person hires a law firm after an injury without doing research. It can be a big mistake or not. Sometimes, after you have hired a certain lawyer, you realize you made a certain mistake. But guess what? Just because you hire them doesn't mean you can't fire them. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you think you've hired the wrong firm, you may have. So do this. Google Morgan & Morgan results or visit forthepeople.com for cases just like yours. You may find that our full-service injury firm should have been your choice in the first place. Last year, almost 12,000 people discharged their law firm and hired us after further research. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason. Visit forthepeople.com today and let's get started. Or call Pound Law on your cell phone. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Joe Sandifer, Esquire, 11915 Plaza Drive, Suite 301, Burroughs Inlet, South Carolina, 29576.
Discover the Griffin difference. Griffin Pools and Spas is your headquarters for family fun and outside enjoyment. We offer Latham fiberglass pools, Imperial vinyl pools, above ground pools, spas by Bullfrog, Marquee, Tropic Season Generations, and swim spas. The Big Green Egg, all things Yeti and Turtle Box Gen 3, Ranger, and Grande Bluetooth speakers. We sell fun. Come see us and get summer ready today. Discover the Griffin difference. Family owned and operated for 50 years.
Griffin Pools and Spas. We make you feel good.
The Extra Point.
And the kick is good.
With Tyler Head and Jack Beltry from Gamecock Central. On the Game Network, the 107.5, the Game app, and at the Game TV radio on YouTube.
A 2014 college football playoff. I think if you polled a majority of fans across the country, not just South Carolina football fans, I think if you just polled the college football loving populace here, then I think you would probably get in the 80% of disapprove of the idea of expanding this. And one thing that I think kind of fuels that is some of the obvious things, like changing what your regular season is. And if you compare college football to other sports, you could say college football has had the most meaningful regular season that exists in any sport, more so maybe than the NFL, NBA, NHL, clearly, in MLB too, the marathon sports that have marathon regular seasons, their regular seasons aren't as meaningful. The margin for error is significantly different, even in other college sports like baseball and basketball. So that kind of makes it special in its own right. A 2014 playoff significantly changes that. But another thing, too, that I think would be an inadvertent side effect is how we view certain programs that aren't the mainstays in this thing, right? We've been doing the whole college football playoff experiment for 12 years. For 10 years, it was a 14 playoff. The last two, it's been a 12-team event. And when David Ubben does something like this, the thought exercise of going back to different seasons in which we had different formats and applying the 24-team model to it, you look at the list of teams on here that have had multiple appearances. Now, South Carolina would have had 2, but you look at NC State and Iowa, and I want to maybe challenge us to look at those programs and how we look at them now, and would it be different if they are getting one and done in these playoff formats? Do the coaches that are there right now, and I'm going to use Iowa and NC State as the example, do those programs that aren't necessarily playing for a playoff berth every year right now, if they're getting in as frequently as they would have been if we've applied this the entire time, would Kirk Ferentz still be the head coach at Iowa right now? Would Dave Doran still be the head coach at NC State? I think oftentimes coaches do get leeway or at least some grace because they're able to earn 8 to 10 wins in the regular season consistently, even if it doesn't end in a college football playoff berth. And I think for the most part, fans are happy with those types of seasons, even though NC State's maybe a little muddier of a picture.
So if you're asking if we go one and done, are we going to be upset with the idea that we only were here for a little while? here for a short time, not a long time, right?
Yeah, you're still not realistically competing for a championship, but you have a physical chance to compete for a championship. It's kind of the same way that teams in the NCAA men's basketball and women's basketball tournament, where if you are a constant 20-game winner, but you're really a 5 to 7 seed every year, would feel.
I think you're asking fans to go against their natural instinct, which is to be delusional. Fandom is not being realistic, but realistically, if you were to look at those situations, you'd say, all right, this is cool. This is what we would settle for. We are maximizing our lot in the college football ecosystem. But that's not what fandom does. So I do think, to your point, enough years of getting eliminated in the first round would probably increase the anxiety amongst fans, and we're just never going to get there. Because as it currently states now, there's always one, and being a South Carolina Gamecock, you know what I'll always have? What if? What if they would have just let us in that playoffs 2 years ago? We would have won it. We would have ran the table. We were the hottest team in the country. We had a quarterback. We had Bronco Nagurski winning. We would have won it. And thankfully, we didn't get in because I wouldn't have that to be able to fall back on.
Because I couldn't be like, well, technically, we don't know that. It's one of those things, like those type of hypotheticals are unprovable.
You can't. And that's the thing that fuels us. If we get in there and you lose in the first round, I don't have anything to go off of. So I think a lot of teams are going to have that scenario play out where it's like, oh, yeah, now you really know that you never had a shot.
You get to live in hypothetical land.
What better place is there to be?
It's a utopia over in hypothetical
Especially when you had a team like we had 2 years ago where everything felt like it was lining up in the right direction. The ultimate team where you could say if they would have let us in, some things could have happened.
Like, y'all are lucky. Y'all are lucky they didn't let us in. You don't want to see what would happen if you would have let us in. But one thing I think that will be an inadvertent side effect of this, and I think I'm going to have to change the way I phrase a lot of this, because instead of saying if this were to happen, I think this will happen, right? Greg Sankey can be the last of the commissioners pushing back against this, and ultimately I think numbers and money play out and win. So when this happens, you're going to find a lot more situations like what Penn State had with James Franklin. Because in a 4-team playoff ecosystem and a 12-team playoff ecosystem, Penn State seemed to have been in a very unique situation where you are in a spot that so many programs, a majority of the programs in your sport would kill to be in, which is a baked-in 10 wins almost every single year, last year excluded. You're winning 10 games consistently. You're just falling a little bit short of the playoff. How much more pressure would it have been if he was making playoffs but also not advancing or losing to the same teams, right? That would be one thing. If he loses to Ohio State again in the playoff, or if James Franklin and Penn State were to have kept losing to, say, Notre Dame like they did in the college football playoff semifinal just a couple of years ago. How many more programs would find themselves in that type of position? I don't think that would have been just excluded and reserved for James Franklin and Penn State. I think that type of badge would have been reserved for Dave Doran at NC State, for Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, for whoever the head coach of Florida is going to be, right? Getting to the playoff would no longer be enough to save your job at the University of Florida. Florida's on this list as a team that would have been in this thing 5 times. But if you're not advancing in it, then you're still going to get weary of those type of coaches.
5 times. These 3 teams have been, there's 3 teams on this list that have been there 5 times. NC State, which we just talked about, and Florida State. NC State is in a much more stable position than either one of those 2 programs. But nobody sees it that way.
Right. No one does.
Nobody thinks about NC State. Nobody cares about NC State, really, unless you're Wolfpack. Shout out. Nobody cares, though. And these other 2 programs who have been wildly inconsistent because of either name recognition or brand or whatever the case is, you still feel like they're on another level than NC State, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're absolutely not. And I don't know if they will be because, well, I can tell you Florida State won't be. I think I got that one, and then we'll see what's going to happen with Florida State. But Dave Doran's going to be right here.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that's going to be good enough.
And does it change how often coaches move around? The thing with Washington, too, is like Washington's one of those teams, would have had 5 different playoff appearances. Is Kalen DeBoer more eager or less eager to take the Alabama job when it opened up if the situation he had in Washington was ripe enough for him to be in the playoff every single year, right? Because you caught lightning in a bottle, had the perfect storm of talent and experience on that team that went to a 4-team playoff back a few years ago, went to the national championship game at Washington. If there's a guarantee that if this is a 24-teamer and you're going to be in every year, are you happy enough at Washington to then take that job? I think that is a real valid question that would exist here. If you look at a school like, I don't know, Auburn, 4 appearances. Is the Auburn job looked at differently? Is that pressure cooker still the same? Mississippi State's an interesting one on this too. David Ubben tallied 4 different times Mississippi State would have been in the playoffs. They did it under 3 different head coaches. Because they would have made it under Mullen. They would have made it 1 year under Joe Moorhead. And then they would have made it under Mike Leach. Do we view the Mississippi State program differently than we do now? Because what do you think of when you think of Mississippi State?
Not much.
Perennial loser, average at best.
Mm-hmm.
But are we changing how we think about that program if they were to have made this thing 4 times?
Well, that's why I don't like these numbers, because I think of myself as a winner being a Gamecock, and we only have 2. I think of Mississippi State as perennial losers. They have 4.
Is this further ammo to just not want to do this?
I don't like this. I don't like the way this is going.
This is touching a little too close to home.
Yeah, also when I see the neighborhood that I'm living in, I'm like, we're better than them. Oh, Kentucky. They have 2 also. Memphis, 2 also. I don't know. Syracuse, yuck.
Football?
Yeah. I don't know.
Did Donovan McNabb get extra eligibility?
I don't like the neighborhood we're living in.
I think that also is a little more of a mirror than what you would have liked it to be, this type of exercise right here. But to round out our early game bonus hour / first hour, our off-script early game here on the Extra Point, we'll bring in an early game mainstay, at least for the last couple of months. Our boy Jim Mora is going to join us because there's a lot of stuff happening in the what? Well, pot's got to be up. Jim says, this is overtime for me. You got to pay me extra. But we'll hear from Jim Mora next year on the early game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
This is Elijah Campbell from 107.5 The Game and The Game Network. If you run a diner, bakery, coffee shop, burger joint, pizza spot, or that hidden gem everybody should know about, how would you like to get the word out about your business without spending a dime? Well, we got you. All you have to do is text your name, your business, and your phone number to 803-404-6100, and we'll be in touch. There is no catch. We know times are tough, but we would love to help you out and your business.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
You know, it's seldom easy being a Texas Rangers fan. And here's another example. History in Arlington for the Houston Astros against their rival Rangers. A no-hitter and a 9-0 victory. It's the 17th regular season no-hitter in Astros history and the first across baseball this season. I'm a reluctant Drake Toll.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hot. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now at Mattress Firm, save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic, plus get a $300 instant gift. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
My dad passed away unexpectedly. Of course, it was awful in every way, but we are very grateful that he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still able to provide for us. And that's why I have life insurance for my family. Ethos.com. They make it fast and easy to get covered. It's 100% online. You get a quote in seconds, and you can apply in minutes. You get covered the same day.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required. Rates may vary.
For adults with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms, every choice matters. Tremfya offers self-injection or intravenous infusion from the start. Tremfya is administered as injections under the skin or infusions through a vein every 4 weeks, followed by injections under the skin every 4 or 8 weeks. If your doctor decides that you can self-inject Tremfya, proper training is required. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions, increased risk of infections or lower ability to fight them, and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or need a vaccine. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, Mom, now that I have an after-school job, I think I want to buy a drum kit.
Okay, Rockstar. Let's look at your account.
When kids start making money, Chase has easy-to-use tools and expert bankers to help them learn how to manage it.
And next month, I'll buy the bass drum and the cymbals. Oh, and maybe some noise-canceling headphones for you.
Aw, you've thought of everything.
Help kids save, budget, and build financial independence, all with Chase. That's good for kids and good for parents. Visit your local Chase branch and get started.
Account subject to approval. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Extra Point with Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
Well, when you know the early game's having overtime, that means our man Jim Moore is working overtime too.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Don't grab that tone with me. Don't take that tone with me, Jim Mora. Because on a 3-day weekend, there was so much playoff action. I think the Colorado Avalanche went from hopeful to just, make game one a fluke to now being on meltdown warning and sweep watch. Two different storms at play here for a team named after a natural weather event, ironically enough. And then something happened last night that has not happened since 1999 because the New York Knicks are in the NBA Finals.
This is fun.
This is a lot of fun.
This is fun. If there's a fan base in the NBA, we talk about having great fan bases. The NBA is sort of come to be known as a laissez-faire type of league. You come, you go, you come. These people take New York sports seriously, but New York Knicks, because everybody's a Knicks fan. You might be a Yankee fan, you might be a Met fan. Maybe you're a Giants fan, maybe you're a Jets fan, but everybody's a Knicks fan.
No one cares about the Nets.
That's a whole, that's not, even now that they're in Brooklyn, nobody's like, there's another team here. They don't count. So they're super excited about the idea of their team being successful. And the more that I'm watching this, the more I'm interested in this story. This is becoming more fascinating to me.
It is. It absolutely is. And there's also going to be a thing, too. Like, I saw somebody did the calculation of what their score differential is. Because it's not just that they won the Eastern Conference Finals. It's that they're on an absolute heater right now. They swept the Sixers. They swept the Cleveland Cavaliers. The only team to beat them in the playoffs so far is the Atlanta Hawks. And the Hawks did it 2 straight games.
People was nervous.
The Hawks had them down 2-1.
People were nervous.
Going into a Game 4 in Atlanta.
Must win.
The Knicks were in must-win territory. That feels like a year ago now at this point.
Actually, doesn't even remember that even happening, really.
But someone did the math on, like, score differential, point differential. And remember when the Golden State Warriors had Kevin Durant along with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala. Who could forget Zaza Pachulia? But that was considered, at the time, I'm like, we will never see this level of dominance through the playoffs again in our lifetime. There's no way. That team was at a plus 206. They outscored their opponents throughout the entire run through the Western Conference, which featured fewer games, because I think that year they swept all of their opponents. They're at plus 206. The New York Knicks are at plus 246 right now. Outscoring their opponents by that much more than what the Golden State Warriors did through the Western Conference.
Oh, yeah, and in one of those games, they were down by 22.
And came back and won. Oh, and they not just down 22 like in the first quarter or something. They were down 22 with 8 minutes to play. 8 minutes. Kenny Atkinson would call that an analytical win, but it is most definitely not.
We know they expected to score. We expected the scoreboard. I would get paid off by expecting.
Yeah, Kenny, I would have expected to win that game too. You're up 22 points in the last 8 minutes. Why should I expect you to lose that game?
Ain't no analytic for that, brother.
There's no analytic. There's just a sound. Just which is them gasping for air.
Yeah.
Just brutal stuff there. But the Knicks are actually in a historical run right now. I saw that, and I had to double take. Hard to believe. Which tells me that maybe the Western Conference Finals, which I think that is finally shaping up into the series that we thought it would be, especially after Game 1, because the Spurs got their lick back and held the Thunder to 82 points or whatever it was on Sunday night. For a while, I was kind of thinking that series is the NBA Finals. I'm not so sure now.
And also you add on the idea that we're forecasting this thing to go 7, so they're going to beat each other into a pulp, and the Knicks are kind of chilling.
They maybe can do Cancun for a week before playing this series. You never know. If they wanted to do that, they might have the luxury of being able to do that. They're not going to because they're professionals. But that final series is going to be a lot more intriguing than I would have assumed it was going to be a week or so ago because of how well they took care of business here in this entire thing. Now, if you want to talk about a playoff series that's impossible to predict, I think we probably have good leans on Spurs Thunder. Canadians, Hurricanes. The Hurricanes won the last 2 in overtime, Preston Thorne. We had to bet right now who wins that thing.
I'm gonna go. I don't say who's going to win. I want the Hurricanes to win. I don't know what that counts for though.
I mean, hey, they exercised some home playoff demons by winning that game 2 when they really needed to. Maybe they don't pull a Colorado Avalanche. Maybe the Hurricanes finally get back to it for the first time in 20 years. Terry Ford's coming in, continuing the extra point.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
I'm Jason Reynolds. You may wonder if you're better off hiring a big corporate law firm with hundreds of lawyers, or should you go local?
I'm Stephen Samuels. With the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, you get me, or Jason, or Michael, or David. You have your own lawyer who can go toe-to-toe with anybody from big law to big insurance.
Here's how you know. Call 803-779-4000. You won't get a robot. You'll get Abby or one of our other wonderful people taking your call. Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers.
For 250 years, America has been a bold experiment in freedom. Generation after generation, Americans have carried that freedom forward, running farther, climbing higher, standing stronger. From stadiums to neighborhood blacktops, from hometown fields to the world stage, the spirit stays the same. This year, America turns 250, and the next chapter of freedom is yours to write. All Americans can get involved in the celebration. Learn how at freedom250.org. That's freedom250.org.
Railroad tracks and potholes are a way of life driving in Columbia, South Carolina. The last thing you want to worry about is your tires. At Wetzel's Automotive, we make it simple. From helping you choose the right set to professional installation and alignment, our team handles it all in one stop. Our wide selection of top brand tires means you'll always find the right fit for your vehicle and your budget. Fast, friendly, and right here at home. Visit us at 2017 Augusta Road in West Columbia or online at wetzelsauto.com.
Vista Roofing, your local CertainTeed Select Shingle Master. Looking for a roof that's built to last? Trust the certified experts at Vista Roofing for professional installation, top-tier materials, and peace of mind backed by industry-leading warranties. From repairs to full replacements, Vista Roofing delivers durable results and exceptional service. Call now or visit VistaRoofingINC.com to schedule your free estimate. Vista Roofing, raising the standard one shingle at a time.
It starts the second you wake up. How much time do I have? What can I grab? Will one thing even cut it? That's why McDonald's 2 for $5 Mix and Match hits the spot. Like a sausage McMuffin with egg, a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit with Applewood smoked bacon, and now the Egg McMuffin with a freshly cracked egg is part of the 2 for $5 lineup. Add any size iced coffee for $2. 1 handles breakfast, 2 handles mornings. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
At Herndon Chevrolet, there's no need to wait a week for service. Our full team of technicians is ready to get your vehicle checked the same day. From oil changes to major repairs, we're here to keep you moving with expert care you can count on every time. Fast appointments, trusted repairs, convenient service, and a friendly team ready to help you. Only at Herndon Chevrolet.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Hey guys, it's Jay Phillips for AAA Heating and Air. You know, every homeowner's dream is a house that cleans itself, right? Well, we might not be able to do that, but what if you could clean your air without lifting a finger, even when you're sleeping? AAA Heating and Air offers indoor air quality products that do just that. These products work with your HVAC system to improve your home's air quality. Cleaning the air eliminates common household odors, removes allergens and pollutants, and can even improve sleep and reduce the spread of some viruses. And remember, at AAA Heating and Air, home comfort is their top priority. Call today to schedule a seasonal maintenance appointment. Let AAA Heating and Air's qualified technicians put your mind at ease with a thorough inspection and cleaning of your heating and cooling system. Join their popular AAA Comfort Club to take advantage of extras like flexible visits, added discounts, and priority scheduling. Let AAA Heating and Air take your comfort to the next level. Call 803-677-1500 and schedule today.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
The Garnet Trust Hour with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head. Sponsored by Krantz Heating and Cooling. On the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
Hour. Terry Ford, Chris Clark, Tyler Head still making his way back from, I think he's still at Pit Road, is what I think, Chris. He's still at Pit Road in Indy.
I saw that Tyler ran into Jen Jensen at Indy.
They were hanging in the infield doing all sorts of debauchery at Indy. Yeah, it was Jen and Tyler and Jen's husband and Tyler's wife. I hear the videos, pretty racy stuff.
Looks like they had a great time. I watched a little bit of it. Not a big racing guy, as anybody who listens probably knows. Not a big racing guy. I did watch a little bit of it, and, you know.
I'm one of these guys, like, I'm not a huge racing guy either now. Have you ever been to one?
I have been to Darlington.
It's different going. Like, going, you know, you get close up, go, oh, my God, these guys are going fast. Wow, smells like oil and gas.
Yeah.
Hey, pit girls. Hey, alcohol. You know, it's a whole different vibe when you're there. I'm not a watch it on TV guy. They're going in circles, like left turns for like hours.
Yeah, my daughters are like, this is boring. Can we turn that? And I'm like, well, you know, and I'm trying to explain, like, well, here's why people like it. You know, it's just not. And my wife's family, they grew up not as much Indy. They were big NASCAR people. You know, so I've been to the Richard Petty Museum.
Oh, cool.
And all that, his place.
Nice.
Yeah, so, nice. I mean, they're big Petty people. Just not, you know, ball is more my thing.
Never mind.
But that's fine. I don't.
Never mind. I got
don't hate
friends,
on it. Yeah.
family. Do you remember the Earnhardt Jr. Jeff Gordon thing?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was fun because I had no dog in the fight. I used to like watching my family, somebody like Gordon, somebody like Earnhardt Jr. There was almost fights at the family reunion over this thing, guys beating each other with horseshoes. I mean, it was But I tell you, I've always done this. I've always tried to watch the last 20 laps of the Daytona 500 and like the last 10 or 20 laps of Indy.
Yep.
Because they're the big races to me are those two, right?
Yep.
So I'll tell you real quick. So I got the Indy 500 on. By the way, hell of a finish. Like what, a half a second between the two cars or something at the end, and people are passing each other at the by the checkered flag. So I want to watch this thing, right? Because again, I make my promise to myself. So I got it on. They got and they were in caution, I guess, and they were leading up to that final lap, like sprint for the championship.
Mm-hmm, the shootout.
Ready? I walk up. It's my kid's uncle at the door. Hey, brought you guys some watermelon I bought over there at the fresh market. Okay, thanks. Hey, by the way, one other thing. One other thing turned into 5 other things and 7 other things. And he's telling me things about him I don't need to know. That happened at the proctologist. And I don't need any of this, Chris. And know what I got to do? I got to go back and rewind the end because 15 minutes.
You're going back. You're watching it on YouTube, which is where I saw the finish, actually. But that's fine.
You know what's funny? You ever have this happen where you have people come over, usually it's family, and you do the little subtle things to get them out? Like, I got to the point where I was walking him out the driveway.
Yeah. I'll let you run. If you do that, I'll let
I know
you
you're
run.
busy, man. I know you got a lot going on. Hey, I don't want to hold you up. I don't.
Even though you came here. Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to go rewind it, use the old school DVR, rewind on the remote to watch the end. And the end was cool. That was pretty fun.
It was. Well, in the whole race, I mean, I was reading, I did not know this, of course. There was 70 lead changes, which was a record.
Yeah.
So Tyler picked a good one, man. I'm glad he got to go out there. Tyler, big racing guy, big wrestling guy. I mean, Tyler, if it is a sport of any sort, Tyler is all about it and knows more than probably all of us combined.
I bet you Tyler could break down the National Pickleball Championships if he's into it.
Tyler probably knows, Tyler, name all 70 lead changes. He'd be like, so-and-so got in, and then he led 12 different times. He knows all of it.
He could tell you the pit crew for every team that had a lead change.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he does. I was talking to him Friday, I'm like, so, you ready to go? You all tingly? You ready to rock and roll? Check off this bucket list thing. My man, and Tyler is not the most, he doesn't get excitable. He doesn't get wow high, not low, whatever. He's very even keeled. It's about as excited as I saw him talking about going to Indy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Between you and me, because I know she's not listening, probably was more excited talking about Indy than talking about his marriage 3 years ago. Don't tell anybody. Keep that between you and me.
Yeah, we should have not. Yeah.
I'm kidding, Mrs. Tyler Head. I'm just playing. All right, so today, I guess right now we're in this weird thing of coaching search, Chris Clark, where we kind of have heard a lot about it feels like there's 2 guys who are the first 2 that are going to get the phone calls. The official, I mean, sure, obviously back channel stuff is going on everywhere. We know that. Feels like 2 guys have inched ahead of the others right now. I could be wrong.
Who are you counting as those 2, or is that a tease?
Our guy at Coastal, our guy at Kansas. That's where I feel like. I think the guy at Georgia Tech is more of a thing than people want to say, because everybody thinks he won't leave Atlanta because he's from there. His wife's an alum at Georgia Tech. Maybe there could be a wild card in this thing. We don't know. The guy from Boston College has come up too, because he was at Wofford. I don't know if that's the resume you bring here unless other people tell you no. What do you think?
I think, so a few things on that. Number one, I mean, I think, if you ask the baseball community, and by that I mean, people who cover the sport nationally, coaches in the sport, agents, if we sent out a poll right now, and if you're any of those people, hit us up on the Firehouse Subtext line and give us your thoughts. We'll keep it anonymous even for you. But I think most people would say, okay, Kevin Schnall is the guy here the most. Some people may say he's the front runner. I wouldn't go that far on this end, because here's the thing. None of those people are making the hire.
No.
Jeremiah Donati and the South Carolina administration are making this hire. What we do know is Kevin Schnall's in the mix very heavily, And if you want to classify that as leading candidate, there's still a lot of this process to play out. If you've ever followed coaching searches, there can be ebbs and flows in this thing. There's kind of stages to the coaching search, I think. And as more information comes out, as more things happen behind the scenes, there tend to be ebbs and flows. Guys fall off. Guys that were kind of put forth for the job initially or by agents, by media, by fans, you kind of find out, okay, that guy wasn't really heavily in the mix. Oh, that guy was much more heavily in the mix than we thought, initially. You kind of find that out later. I hear different things on Dan Fitzgerald from Kansas. I've been told, hey, he might not be as heavily in this thing for whatever reason than some people are saying. And so then you're trying to parse through, all right, well, what does that mean? Like, why? What I do think is that, actually, I'll say what I know. South Carolina is definitely shooting high on this one, as they should, in terms of finding somebody with a track record. And in all likelihood, that's going to be a sitting head coach. There's several assistants out there who have really nice resumes. Nolan Kane for Texas, is one of those, for instance. Right. It is very likely, again, this can change as the process continues. It's very likely where we sit right now that they're hiring a sitting head coach from somewhere. I also think that there's not a huge list. There's not, there's 20, it's like when a recruit puts out a top 18. Yes. You're not considering 18 schools. South Carolina's not considering 18 coaches, but is there, an initial list that's a handful of head coaches, sitting head coaches? I very much think so based on what I've been told. But I don't think any of us can sit here and say, oh, it's going to be this guy. Yeah. Like, maybe you're putting odds on it, and a lot of people who are putting those odds on it would go with Kevin Schnall, and that makes sense. He's absolutely in it. But there's other guys who are in it. And I think for us, as we cover this search, is trying to figure out, well, which guys are those? Like, who are the actual coaches that are really in this thing? Not just the ones that are necessarily being reported. Some of those are definitely in it. I kind of have a feeling, Terry, that there's some guys out there that have expressed interest in this job that maybe we aren't talking about, quite as much so far.
I was going to ask you about that because, again, look, of the people whose names are out there a lot, when we hear Schnall and Fitzgerald, and we hear Ramsey and a few others, and we hear, like you said, Kane, Coggin, the assistant at Georgia, those kind of people. And look, any of them can be a fine head coach. Look, I've always said this, Chris. I know enough to know that I really don't know until they get in the office and start coaching the team. You see the results, actually. Especially baseball. I think baseball is so much also about fit. Because really that's so much of coaching away from the game. I always say, like a Major League Baseball manager, the goal of him is not managing the game, it's managing between the games for, 8-9 months, whatever. You're together for so long. So, I mean, if you say, okay, they pick any of these guys, I'll say what I think from looking at their resume and what I've heard. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know. You just don't know. And so to go to that thought, from what we hear right now, like, for an example, I really like everything I've read about Fitzgerald. I really like. Good God, man, they got to build. They almost got to build a new stadium for the regional. What is that place? Hold 1,500 or something. I mean, most people didn't know they had a baseball program in Lawrence, Kansas, right? And look what this guy's done. He was at LSU for a year. Good, because the SEC is a little different than the Big 12. No offense. So he checks some boxes, but again, he's only been doing this for a few years. Hasn't had the opportunity to go deep into the postseason yet. And managing, or I should say, coaching baseball in the postseason is different than the regular season. And we can sit here and talk about all these guys and kind of do the same thing. So my question to you is, we always start by shooting really, really big, right? Hey, go get Wes Johnson of Georgia. Hey, hey, is that guy Walter still with the gig? He's been to Omaha. Hey, how about this guy, that guy, this guy, whatever. And you're not really hearing those type of people. I'm going to throw this to you because I got a theory really quick before we get to David Busey. I watched North Carolina in basketball shoot high, right? 10, 15 years ago, a blue blood like that gets their dude, right? You're not getting those dudes anymore because it feels like those guys who are at really good places go, I'm in a really good place where if I don't win a national championship, I don't have to somebody start my car for me. They like me here. They give me resources. They give me money. I got NIL. I think it's harder to pull a big dog now than it used to be away from places because Most of them got it pretty good, and they might just like where they're at. You help me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if you look here, South Carolina in football, they hired Lou Holtz and then Steve Spurrier, and those are unique situations. You kind of had to have the right guy at the right time. You even look at, Frank Martin took South Carolina to the Final Four. He was a pretty big name, actually. Yeah. He had done some really good things. This wasn't a guy that was just some sleeper. Like, he'd done really good things at K-State. He wasn't happy there, So is there a guy like that maybe we don't know about that you look at him and go, why would he leave? Because this is a great job. There's a lot of great college baseball jobs, particularly if you look at the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
Or even Kevin Schnall has a great job at Coastal, really, for that level. And they've played on the highest level. Look at what they did last year.
Right.
And what they're back in the regional this year. They're going to have a chance to go compete for this thing. So are there guys out there that look at South Carolina and go, that's a program that's going to make more of a commitment? And I'm not saying, to be clear, I'm not saying Jay Johnson from LSU is a name to know.
Right.
I'm not saying that.
Right.
But there's even some whispers that, hey, even at some of these schools that you would think are pouring resources into baseball that have historically been great, some of them are not. And we know that Jeremiah Donati has really talked the talk and walked the walk with what he's giving from a resource standpoint to the men's programs lately, and women's. But for this job, it's going to be a well-resourced job, and so that matters. So, yeah, I think I'll go back to what you said about fit. When Tony Vitello got to Tennessee, he had a really good resume as an assistant. He had not been a head coach. They were not good at all when he got there. And then, in 2024, they win 60 games and win the College World Series. So I don't necessarily think it has to be, okay, here's a guy who's been to Omaha 3 times and he has 1 or 2 titles. It doesn't have to be somebody like that to actually do it here. It's just, and this is what they're trying to figure out right now, who can get it done here. I do think it's most likely they're going sitting head coach route.
Makes sense.
But we'll see.
All right, David Busey, you talked to the South Carolina defensive back, a little 2-part conversation. We'll get to that next here on the Gardner Trust Hour. Chris Clark, Terry Ford hanging in for Tyler right here on The Game.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
The Game phone lines at 803-404-6100. Sponsored by AAA Heating and Air. Now offering 12-month payment plans on all HVAC or electrical repairs with no credit check. Online at callAAAtoday.com. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. From the people who brought you It's the Dog Park comes.
It's a hot spot on your dog's leg that the internet says you can treat it at home. You're not sure though, because now it's oozing.
Protect your dog from injury and illness with Progressive Pet Insurance.
Ooh, he's licking it. Super gross, dude.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Coverage subject to policy terms.
When you're craving scratch-made food, 29-degree draft beer, and the best seat in the house for every game, there's only one place to go: Twin Peaks. From juicy burgers and smoked in-house wings to ice-cold brews served by the friendliest team around, Twin Peaks is your ultimate sports lodge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you never miss a moment. So grab your crew and head to Twin Peaks, where the views are great, the food hits hard, and the beer is always colder than your ex's heart. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Elijah Campbell here from 107.5 The Game, and spring cleaning meets hosting season with Zerorez. Get carpets cleaned for just $35 per room, and stairs are now only $35 too. Plus, take $50 off that air duct cleaning by mentioning 107.5 The Game. Look now at ZerorezColumbia.com and get guest ready today.
Hey, this is Jen Jensen for CHW Cabinetry. My family is using CHW Cabinetry, and they are fantastic to work with. They make sure you're satisfied with every step of the process. Not only do their photorealistic renderings show exactly what your new space will look like, their job site guarantees everyone is on the same page, literally. Experience the CHW difference for yourself. Go to chwcabinetry.com to see more, or call them at 803-520-6837, and be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation.
Hey guys, Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central here to make sure your business and property parking lots are kept available from any unwanted cars taking up your spots with Schroeder's Towing. For instance, you're coming in hot to the game studios for your show and you park next door in an unauthorized lot with signage that was provided for free from Schroeder's Towing. Next thing you know, the show is in the books and your car is out of the lot. It really is that simple. That's a true story. Call Schroeder's today and keep those unwanted cars out of your lots. Online at schroederstowing.net.
Just dial pound 250 and use the keyword tow truck.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
If you're tired of dealing with gas, noise, and costly maintenance, it's probably time to switch to steel battery power. Right now at Cato's Power Equipment, we have 65 steel battery tools like the GTA 40 hand pruner, the BGA 60 blower, and the KMA 135 Combi Power Head. Each available with 2 free batteries for a limited time, giving you more runtime, less hassle, and up to $640 in instant savings. This deal is only available at Cato's Power Equipment, Columbia's home for the tools you need to maintain your turf. Visit CatosPowerEquipment.com.
Hendrick.
Why shop for a Chevy or GMC the way you always have? Shop the nation's #1 dealer group, Hendrick Chevrolet and Hendrick GMC. Buy now, but make no payments for 3 months. Experience the Hendrick difference.
With approved credit, see dealer for details.
We know what it's like when you're injured. You hurt, you can't work, you can't pay your bills, and the insurance company won't return your calls. I'm Jason Reynolds. At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we're here for you when things go bad. We're local, resourceful, and have a proven record of success.
I'm Stephen Samuels. Our team is big enough to handle any case and small enough to care about each one.
We get South Carolina because we're true South Carolina. Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
The Garnet Trust Hour with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head. Sponsored by Krantz Heating and Cooling on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
All right, welcome in. It's the Garnet Trust Hour here on the Game. Chris Clark rolling along with you with another Gamecock football student athlete. As always, Garnet Trust Hour brought to you by our friends over at Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. I'm here with David Busey from Gamecock football. Really excited to have you in, David. How's it going, man? Appreciate you joining us.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. It's going well. Enjoying the break and ready to get back to work here soon.
Yeah, good deal. Let's go over that actually real quick. So you guys do have a little bit of a break, obviously, in a long weekend here this past weekend from Memorial Day. But what's kind of the schedule right now for the football team once you guys wrapped up spring ball? What are the next, what have these last few weeks look like? What do the next few weeks look like for you?
They did give us a little break after spring ball, so this is really our biggest break of the year. So we get a good decent break in May. You do your work on your own, get your little vacation in, and then these next couple of weeks will just be conditioning, working out, lifting weights, probably some football fundamentals on the side, and then we'll roll into June, into July. We'll be in fall camp, but it'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, it's absolutely flying by, man. It's crazy. So we'll talk a lot about football, but I want to start off the field. I have a bunch of different things I want to get to with you off the field. And the first is this. I know you're a big outdoors guy, away from football when you get the opportunity, hunting, fishing, all that stuff. But tell me a little bit about that, kind of, just how you got into it and how much time maybe you get. Probably not as much as you would like nowadays, but what all you like to do outdoors.
I like to do everything and anything outdoors. Hunting and fishing is my biggest thing. My dad, he grew up hunting, fishing. He taught me the same way. And ever since I was a little kid, I just loved it. and it stuck with me. Today I kind of see it as, with the less time that I have, I see it as a time to get out and clear my mind, before a game, something like that. Just get it in when I can and just relax and clear my head.
Let's talk about some of your best gets, I guess is maybe the best word. So fishing, first of all, I'm sure you've been, a variety of places fishing. You've probably been out on Murray, right, since you got here, I would assume.
Sometimes.
Where's been the best fishing in your experience, and what's your best conquest as far as landing something?
My best fishing place is probably the Everglades National Park in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
So that's over there, down there by the Keys. And in that place, there's not a soul out there. There's no service, no other boats rarely you see. And it's the quietest place ever, and it's nothing but wilderness. I went there with some buddies this last spring, and we caught some pretty big tarpon, and I caught the biggest one I've ever caught. And that place, it's literally like a jungle. It's prehistoric out there.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's kind of on my list. I love going around the national parks. I'd love to go that one, do some fishing. So what about hunting? What's your preferred hunt? Like if you could pick one, are you a duck guy, deer, hog? Like, what do you like to go after?
I'm definitely a duck guy. As of now, I'm sure it'll change, but duck hunting is my favorite, and then turkeys, and then deer.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good stuff. So, anything else that you like to do kind of away from the field? Do you like to cook? Are you mainly, hey, if I get a little while, if I get a day, I can go hunt or fish? Like, is that mainly what you're doing?
Pretty much. Yes, sir.
Yeah, gotcha. Yep. So you're also studying environmental studies. Last I checked at Carolina,
yes,
is that still what are you thinking about doing? Once football's over for you, whenever that may be, do you have something in mind that are you keeping with? Hey, you like to be outdoors, environmental studies. You're trying to do something, keeping yourself outdoors professionally too?
Yeah, definitely staying in the outdoors. My dad owns a business in that field of study, so taking that over maybe in the future, and then later on down the road, maybe being a guide somewhere I could be on the water a lot, teach people and take people fishing.
Well, and you definitely done very well academically. You got the President's Outstanding Student Athlete Award following spring practice, so congrats on that. And you also have represented the Gamecocks on the SEC Student Athlete Advisory Council. What goes into that? I've always been curious. I know that they kind of lean on you guys for some feedback and things like that, but what's the, what are the responsibilities there? What all do you get to do, and what's your experience been like?
It's been fun. It's a lot of perks to it, a lot of trips you get to go on. I kind of see it as we're a voice for all the sports. That's really what I see. So anything that people want to ask, we can put in. We kind of hear what's going on behind the scenes with the athletic director, stuff that may be going on in the future, things that need to be fixed. With any of the facilities in any sports, we can come to them and say something. So it's a big tool. We're kind of a voice for the whole school.
All right, so let's take it to the field a little bit for the next little while. Talk about some football stuff. You played at a really good program over at Savannah Christian and, of course, Savannah, Georgia. Got here as an early enrollee in 2024. But, you played a lot of positions. You played linebacker, DB, you played receiver. What was the biggest transition for you, even coming from, you guys played quality competition. You played with and against other SEC football players. But just thinking back to, January 2024, what was that, the first few days of that transition like for you?
It was definitely different. I wouldn't say the weight room aspect was different. I had a really good coach in high school at Savannah Christian, and everything that we did in high school, we did right there in college. Now the toughness of that, the hard part was not the same for sure. But the speed of the game was way different. I never really did a lot of DB drills, stuff like that in high school. So picking that up took me a little bit to do that. But the speed of the game is way different. But the staff at Carolina they made it a lot easier, It was it was slow at first, but it picked up.
Yeah, well, like I said, you got to enroll early. You're kind of doing some things that you had not done before from a defensive back standpoint. You're actually able to get on the field. I mean, not an easy thing to do, and play as a true freshman in every game, that 2024 season, all 13 games. What were your biggest takeaways in working with Coach Gray? He obviously has a great track record throughout his career of developing guys. I think getting guys in position to play early, is something that he's also done. What were your biggest learnings, from him and working with him in year one?
I think the biggest learning thing is just understanding the intent and the detail that comes with playing defensive back. We can be the reason of, winning or losing a game, win one play, one or two plays. And that's the intent of the whole position. And then really picking up from the older guys that, played 3 or 4 years, Nicky Minori, DQ, just kind of you're learning from them and understanding how they take coaching from Coach Gray. That helped a lot in the early years.
What was it like to see, 2024 was obviously, Nicky is a guy that he also played as a true freshman when he got here back in 2022. I'm sure you've kind of kept up and followed him and what he's done at the NFL level with the Seahawks. But what was it like kind of going through and seeing guys like him in practice? And then obviously he had a great season that year. Team had a great year. But just watching some of the things that he could do, was that kind of eye-opening for you, going to the SEC level?
Yeah, it's different seeing a 6'5" person playing safety back there for sure. But yeah, he was crazy.
Yeah. You actually have been in on a couple big. I want to turn it to special teams a little bit. And you played special teams the past 2 years. Year one, you were able to force a fumble in Tuscaloosa against Alabama as a true freshman. What do you remember about that play?
I remember I wasn't even supposed to be in that position to be that, tackler. I was supposed to be a contained guy, and then we switched it like right before the play. And I just remember the whole opening up. I was like, oh my goodness, this is about to score. And then I just, cut in, stuck my head in there, and he fumbled. So the last thing I remember seeing was my face mask right on that ball.
I know. Yeah. I was going to ask you about that too. So, thinking back to high school, and this is even on your official Gamecocks online bio, is that, let's see exactly how they put it as I pull it up here. Hard hitting defensive back, right? So there's some clips. I remember when you were getting recruited, there was some clips of you laying some hits. I feel like there's a certain amount of fearlessness that you have to play with. Like, where did that come from? Just being willing to stick your face in the fan, if you will, because some guys, even though their football players are tough, they don't have that as much where they're willing to put their body on the line like that.
I was always like that. I think that's just how my dad brought me up playing football. And, he played linebacker too, so he was a hard-nosed guy. I just loved to hit ever since I was little.
All right, we're going to come back on the other side, and I'm going to ask you about another special teams play from last season against South Carolina State on a punt return. So I will get back to you on that after the break here. I'm hanging out with David Busey. It's Chris Clark here on the Garnet Trust Hour, presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
We have a new way for you to call the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Just dial pound 250, and when prompted, punch in the keywords, the game. And that's it. Again, pound 250 with the keywords, the game.
All right, y'all. You heard about our friends over at Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. As always, the presenting sponsor of the Garnet Trust Hour. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, check them out at KrantzCooling.com, Krantz, cooling with a K, KrantzCooling.com. Since 1983, they've been helping Midlands families and business owners with any of their HVAC needs. They can still do that right now in 2026. Local, family-owned company, so you know you're going to get great service. And I can personally attest to it. They've been out to my home. They've been out to Wes's home for our HVAC needs. And now, you probably noticed, they've got plumbing in their line of business. So any of your air needs, any of your heating needs, indoor air quality, maintenance, installation, repairs. They can do all of that for you at your home or business. But they can also help you out with any of your plumbing needs. So if you have a leak, need something new installed, any maintenance issues, check them out. 803-672-3224, Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
There's one way to stop the IRS from moving forward against you. That's to have an experienced attorney who understands the law and your rights. Hi, I'm local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. When you hear these so-called national tax resolution companies telling you your IRS problems can go away, ask yourself, does it sound too good to be true, or am I just talking with a salesperson? Will a licensed attorney handle my legal problem? An IRS problem is a serious legal matter. Don't trust your tax problems to some out-of-town TV spokesperson. Come meet with me in person, and together we'll take control. We've helped thousands of individuals and businesses with tax problems right here in South Carolina. Your first visit is completely free and confidential. So if you're facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call me, John Ecton, at 803-771-9800. That's 803-771-9800. Or go to EctonLawFirm.com. If you're a Carolina resident and you have an IRS problem, hire a Carolina attorney. Hire me, John Ecton.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
When you're craving scratch-made food, 29-degree draft beer, and the best seat in the house for every game, there's only one place to go. Twin Peaks. From juicy burgers and smoked in-house wings to ice-cold brews served by the friendliest team around, Twin Peaks is your ultimate sports lodge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you never miss a moment. So grab your crew and head to Twin Peaks, where the views are great, the food hits hard, and the beer is always colder than your ex's heart. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Full Send Golf.
You guys know how much I really love golf.
Full Send Golf, 2v2. Me and VOD versus Big John and Kyle. Oh, it feels good to be back on the links with the boys.
Join the party on the golf course.
Back to golf in a big way. Now what, practice? Let's go hit the range.
I was like, let's go to the range.
We are headed to the golf course. Yo, you want to golf with us?
No.
You don't play golf?
No.
Try. We got to break par.
I'm very excited. You excited?
Yeah.
Full Send Golf. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
The Garnet Trust Hour with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head. Sponsored by Krantz Heating and Cooling on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
All right, welcome back in. It's the Garnet Trust Hour presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. Chris Clark hanging out with you for the next little while with David Busey, safety for Gamecock football. And David, I teased before the break there, wanted to talk about another special teams play from last season. And that was against South Carolina State. You got Bulldogs are punting the ball to Vicari, and y'all blocked the punt. And, you know, we don't normally ask a lot of controversial questions on here, but maybe this is a little bit of one. So if you go back and find that clip on YouTube, Mo Brown gets the credit for the block, but it looks like in the stat book you got the credit. So what y'all were both there. And it's kind of hard to tell on the replay. What do you remember about that and what exactly happened?
That formation they came out in, I was supposed to go for the block in that specific game plan. And I just remember coming scot-free, and I got a hand on it. it was definitely me that blocked it. No offense to Mo. But
that's right.
Yeah, we talked about it in team meeting and stuff. I definitely blocked it, and then I guess somebody messed up on the whatever it was.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I didn't know if maybe y'all both got it. I couldn't really tell, but I mean, I could tell on the replay. I was like, yeah, I do think David got that one. So got credit for that one. And then, you know, the other crazy part about that play is, you know, a lot of times you block a punt and, you know, maybe the ball is going backwards and somebody picks it up and returns it for a touchdown, or they fall on it and you got great field position. You don't see, I don't feel like, a lot of punt blocks that actually end up going to the returner, who then picks it up and runs it in for a touchdown. But that's exactly what happened. Did that surprise? Because I went back and watched the play again, and then you're running back downfield and you find somebody to block. Was that kind of just chaotic of like, oh, not only did I just block this thing, but now Vicari's got the ball in his hands?
It really wasn't a surprise. We had a really good coach in Joe DeCamillis, and he kept us on top of the situational stuff all the time. So we knew if that ball was going past the line of scrimmage forward, that there was a chance that it's going to be picked up. So we were on the same page for sure. And I just caught a glimpse of, like, you know, Vicari was pointing at the ball because it was on the ground, and then all of a sudden Vicari just like got up and ran. I was like, oh, yep, he's got it. And then I saw him break free, and I just turned around and looked for somebody to block.
You were out there on his were you out there on his Virginia Tech punt return game 1 too?
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
That was a wild one.
Yep.
That was quite a lot of big blocks on that play too. So let's keep it with special teams for a little bit. Joe D, back to the NFL. So Coach Smiley's now in. Obviously, Coach Beamer, special teams is kind of his baby. So he's super involved. But what can fans expect based on what you've seen so far from the special teams group this year?
It's nothing different than anything that Carolina football's put out. It's going to be hard-hitting, smart, situational stuff. We're just going to be on top of it and hopefully make some big plays. We are going to make some big plays.
One other thing I was going to ask you about defensively is, you know, you've played safety. You can also play nickel. What are maybe just schematically and from a technique standpoint, kind of a little football 101 here, the difference between those two positions in Coach White's scheme or playing for Coach Gray? I think you've mainly focused on safety, right, here at Carolina.
Yes, sir.
But just the differences between those two things, you know, are you covering a little bit more man-to-man when you get into the nickel position? Like, what are some of the differences there?
The nickel position for our team is a lot of man coverage. So, I mean, I would say maybe 80%, 70% of the time you're in man coverage or blitzing. So that's the biggest difference, I'd say, in the nickel and the safety position. And there is some man coverage where the safety has to roll down and cover, but not as often as the nickel.
For you playing safety, you know, when you get the play call in, what's the one you get most excited about? Is it, all right, I'm playing center field, maybe I've got a chance to pick off a ball. Hey, I've got man coverage here on a tight end or a receiver. Hey, I've got a blitz here. Like, what's the one that gets you most excited that you know you're about to go try to execute?
I like a cover 3 when we can roll down and fit the run. And then if it's not a run, you can kind of similar to that play in Kentucky with Nick. You can get up under a pass and they'll never see you coming because you're coming from the line. Similar to one Gerald Kilgore had in Missouri.
Yep. Tell us about Coach White's scheme since we're on that. And just, you know, it's kind of, man, almost rare in college football. And I know this is year 3 for you, but you know, for some of the guys that have been here even longer, you know, they played in this defensive scheme for even longer than you have, but kind of rare to get the same scheme year after year after year. And he's been with Coach Beamer now going into year 6. But what is it like just playing in his defensive scheme? Because it seems like it gives players, you know, some freedom to just go out there and play, you know, and execute.
Yeah, there's a lot of checks that we can make on our own. The biggest thing for Coach White and his scheme is the defense being on the same page. I mean, you can hear him preach that every single day. Communication, being loud and talking. That's the biggest thing he focuses on.
Going into this year, And we've all talked about it a lot. Beamer's talked about it. You guys as players have talked about it. As media guys, we've talked about it. Obviously, we all know last year didn't go how y'all wanted it to. A lot of close games, a lot of fourth quarter games that, it was a play or two away. But what has the vibe and the message been in the facility, during winter workouts once the season wrapped and during spring ball to kind of get this thing turned around and be able to kind of do, frankly, like you guys did in 2024, which is win a bunch of those close games. What's that vibe been like?
It's really just been, it's a new team, new players, new face, new year. And we gotta take charge. It's our team it's in our hands to make something happen. It's not the last year's team, year before that. It's a new team. We just got to finish.
So one of the big things this year is the change in the offensive scheme. And although you're a defensive guy, you get to go up against Lenoris and the offense and Coach Briles and his new offensive scheme in practice. What are some of the things that you've seen, obviously without giving too much away? I think tempo might be one that you bring up. A lot of the players have talked about that, just going up against that offense. What have you seen from those guys?
Definitely tempo, faster pace offense. But there's a lot of new schemes and pass concept that he brings to the game. And, we didn't see that. We saw different stuff. So it's cool to see new stuff and learn from it and learn how you attack it and adjust to it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, does that kind of help you, now that you've seen, you practice against a certain scheme in 24, a certain scheme in 25, now a scheme going into 2026 that's different, but maybe also some elements that you'll see against some of your opponents. When you see that in practice every day, does that kind of help you? Maybe you get into a game this year and you're like, okay, here's a similar concept to what we've seen in practice, to where maybe in practice you haven't repped that quite as much in the past, but you're getting a good look against maybe the ones in practice.
Yeah, absolutely. That would help for sure. We could be, ahead of that and know that, okay, we adjusted to this in spring ball. We're going to do this in the game. It can be just like that.
For you individually, obviously there's team goals, which you kind of hit on, but what's been your main point of focus going into this year? Probably playing potentially the biggest role that you've played here, potentially as a starter, of course, playing on special teams, but what have been your biggest points of emphasis, this offseason and in spring ball to try to improve on?
My biggest point of emphasis to improve on is the man coverage. I feel like I'm going to be really well-rounded player with the coaching that I've taken in, and, I'm confident in everything else, and I just need to be confident in man coverage, and we're good. That's the biggest thing to improve on for sure.
All right, David. Well, hey, this has been fun, man. I appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule here over the long weekend to join us here on the Garnet Trust Hour. Wishing you all the best, man. Hope you have a productive and healthy season. Thanks for taking time.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
All right. That's David Busey, Gamecock football safety, here on the Garnet Trust Hour, presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. We'll be right back.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Hey, this is Preston here from 107.5 The Game and The Game Network. If you run a diner, bakery, coffee shop, burger joint, pizza spot, or that hidden gym that everybody should know about, how would you like to get the word out about your business without spending a dime? Well, we got you. All you have to do is text your name, your business, your phone number to 803-404-6100, and we'll be in touch. There is no catch. Times are tough, but we're here to help you and your business.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
The Oklahoma City Thunder right now feel to me like the 2015 Cleveland Cavaliers. I thought that Cavs team was better than the first Golden State Championship team, but Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving both got hurt. The Warriors went small and ended up winning that series in 6. I think OKC's better than San Antonio, but if J-Dub and A.J. Mitchell can't play, I think the Spurs win the series. I'm Nick Costa.
Furnished by IntelliBrands. Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Get an Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact. Improve your flexibility and balance. Strengthen and tone your legs.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better, and it makes me feel stronger too.
My circulation is moving. I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
It's so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. And for a limited time, get a free upgrade to our deluxe bundle with a faster motor, sport mat, and wireless remote. Call 800-555-1212. That's 800-555-1212. 800-555-1212 now. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition.
Do you have sagging, soft, or bouncy floors in your home? Well, this could be a sign of rotten wood caused by moisture in your crawl space. Damaged wood in your crawl space can affect your home's foundation, and that can affect your home's value, and nobody wants that. Say goodbye to sagging floors and hello to a stable foundation. Contact Canty today for your free inspection at 803-424-8380 or visit cantycanfixit.com.
Correct. All sevens now. We got a $250,000 settlement for a client injured in a car accident when driver illegally turned in front of him.
Dial all sevens now.
The Nastapool Law Firm is not scared to go to court. We got a $2.5 million jury verdict for our client when the other driver failed to yield.
What do? Good heavens. Dial all sevens.
To get your attorney, dial 800 all sevens now.
Drivers who switch their home and auto with Progressive could save money and time. Other things try to do this, but they really don't. Like the touchscreen at fast food places. It's not like you save time because it takes you longer to use a touchscreen than, I don't know, someone who works there. And another thing, you'd think it would save money because they're not paying a cashier, right? But no, same price. Also, why is there an option to tip? Who am I tipping? Exactly. Anyway, even if you can't save money and time with some things, you could with a Progressive Home and Auto Bundle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers, not available in all states or situations.
Wendy's new Biggie Deals lets you choose whatever you're in the mood for. It's like a music mixing board of deals, and you're the producer. Go with some chill folk music with a JBC in the $4 Biggie Bite snack. Try the drum and bass of deals with a double stack in the $6 Biggie Bag. Or go full-on sandwich symphony with an $8 Biggie Bundle, the grand finale of snacking. And the best part? They all come with napkins. $4, $6, and $8 Biggie Deals how you want them at Wendy's.
Price and participation may vary. Single items at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska, California, and Hawaii.
The Garnet Trust Hour with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head. Sponsored by Krantz Heating and Cooling on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
Garnet Trust Hour. Chris Clark, Terry Ford hanging in for Tyler, who is making his way back. Yeah, we sent the Cumulus Media 107.5 The Game private jet to get him and bring him back. So
good. He deserves it.
Yeah. Honestly, thinking about radio these days, probably a crop duster. So we'll get you back to Columbia. First, we got to drop some pesticide in Kansas. Is that going to be a problem for you, kid? So anyway, Tyler will be back tomorrow. Chris is here. Real quick, David Busey's interesting. He's going into his third year. Gets a lot of run on special teams, obviously. But he did get more and more snaps, it felt like, during the regular season in different kind of DB packages. Or was I drinking too much in the press box?
No, he did. I mean, this is a guy that came in, didn't have a ton of fanfare coming in as a true freshman, but saw the field as a true freshman. Like you said, mainly on special teams. But he's got some positional versatility because he can play nickel or safety. He can play special teams. Mostly has played safety, and that's where he's been really since he's been here for the most part in all spring. Played a little bit more last year. And this year it's a little different for him because, he's played now. I mean, he's played in every game that he's had an opportunity to play in. 25 games over the past couple years. He's only started one game, and that was against Missouri because DQ Smith was out that game. So he replaced him. Well, now you're in a situation where, you lose Eamon Warrior after 24. DQ Smith's now not around after the 2025 season. So there's kind of an opening there at that safety position. Really, at both spots. I think most people think Peyton Williams, as a fifth-year senior, I don't want to say has one spot locked down totally, but that's one you point to, and you feel like that's probably the direction it's going. He's played a good bit of ball here too. He started in some instances. He's come in when somebody else has to go out. But Busey's one that maybe not a lot of people are talking about. I agree with you, but right now, exiting the spring, probably a starter at one of those spots. Now there's some competition. Jazavian Currents, as a true freshman, has come in, enrolled in January. He's done some good things. Some people think, hey, if not game 1, maybe by, game 4 or whatever, he's able to come in and
it's just a matter of time. Some people think. Right?
Yeah, and certainly long term, he has a lot of upside. But I would say don't sleep on David Busey. This is someone who's, like I said, he's played 25 games, doesn't have a ton of starting experience, but he's played a good bit of ball. He's going to factor in more than he has so far during his career.
All right, so how do you feel? I mean, obviously, you lose 3 starters, 2 get drafted. How are you feeling about we talk about the safety spot with DQ Smith. How do you feel about the nickel and the corner coming out of the spring?
I think there are questions at every position actually in the secondary, and I think Shane Beamer's talked about this. At nickel, you sign Quay Scott this offseason from Kentucky, from South Carolina, played the past 2 seasons at Kentucky. And I think maybe people kind of penciled him in. Oh, that's probably your Jalen Kilgore replacement. But Gerald Kilgore has been working at nickel also. He's another guy that can play either nickel or safety. And he probably during the spring was your number 1 guy there, I think, more often than not. So you've got Gerald Kilgore and Quay Scott battling it out at that position. At safety, I think your questions are, who's your other starter opposite Peyton Williams? Is it Busey? Does a Currents make a move? Who are the guys behind them? So a Kendall Daniels, right? He's physically got some tools. So is he kind of maybe your 4th guy there, your 3rd guy there eventually? And I would say depth at corner, is something that Shane Beamer specifically has talked about. Torian Gray year after year, it seems like he loses a guy or 2 every year, whether it's eligibility because they graduate or it's the NFL, and he's always kind of got this next crop. Well, this year, those 2 guys are Judge Collier, who's been a starter here, of course, and then Vakari Swain, who's been a special team star, but has also played a good bit and at times played very well at corner. Look at the Alabama game last year for a great example. But I think behind them, they're kind of looking for, first of all, they want Collier and Swain to go ahead and take that next step, as we've seen so many others under Gray take. And then who are the next guys? So DeMarcus Leach, somebody not talked about a lot. He might be your 3rd right now. Who's your 4th? Is it Cassie Barnes as a true freshman? Is it Jalewis Solomon? Barnes made a pretty good impression and certainly looks the part during spring ball as well. So a lot of depth questions there, just in terms of elevating that throughout the summer and preseason will be something we're tracking.
All right, is Wes going to walk in at 10:59 like usual?
Yep. He'll be here.
All right.
Don't worry about it.
Wes Mitchell, Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Coming up next, I'm going to shotgun a lot of coffee in the next hour. All right, so we'll be back here. And I'll just punch buttons. Make sure you stay on the air. All right, it's the Game Network at the Game TV Radio and YouTube.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com. Hungry for more than just a meal? Head to the Golden Spur, the official restaurant of the University of South Carolina. From juicy burgers and crave-worthy flatbreads to fresh salads, pastas, and seafood, there's something for everyone. Unwind with creative cocktails in Columbia's favorite new Sunday brunch buffet. Whether you're repping garnet and black or just exploring downtown, the Golden Spur is your go-to spot. The Golden Spur at 700 Lincoln Street. Reserve now at goldenspurgrill.com.
When you get hurt hurt in a bad wreck, you only get one shot to get it right. And too often, insurance companies have a plan to pay you as little as possible. But you don't have to put up with that. You deserve better when you're hurt. At the Jeffcoat firm, we fight back. Fast, hard, and smart. Call Jeffcoat all hours, every day. 803-200-2000. The longer you wait, the more the insurance company gets the advantage.
Responsible attorney Michael Jeffcoat, 1333 Main Street, Columbia. Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
Elijah Campbell here from 107.5 The Game, and spring cleaning meets hosting season with Zerorez. Get carpets cleaned for just $35 per room, and stairs are now only $35 too. Plus, take $50 off that air duct cleaning by mentioning 107.5 The Game. Look now at ZerorezColumbia.com and get guest ready today.
The Gant family with Pioneer Tree Service has been taking care of trees in Columbia and surrounding areas for over 48 years. Pioneer Tree Service provides tree and shrub removal, pruning and thinning, tree planting, cabling and bracing, raising tree canopies, stump grinding and removal, storm damage services, property cleaning and grading, right-of-way maintenance, and more. They also provide 24-hour emergency tree removal. They can also handle the removal of diseased and dead trees before an emergency happens. Call them today for a free estimate. 803-794-8253. The Gant family and their team at Pioneer Tree Service can be trusted to provide professional and quality tree services with affordable pricing for residential or commercial jobs. Ashton Smith called Pioneer Tree Service and said they came when she was leaving for work, and when she got home, the tree was gone as if it was never there. She was so impressed with Pioneer Tree Service, she will definitely use them again. Here's one of the Gant girls, Madison Gant.
Call us today for a free estimate at 803-794-8253 or check us out online at pioneertreesc.com.
The cost of higher ed seems higher than ever. So for most, there's a difference between what scholarships cover and what school really costs. Fortunately, South Carolina Student Loan has been helping students and families close that price tag gap for 50 years. We're here for you to help cover tuition, books, meals, housing, and other educational expenses. Plus, because we're a not-for-profit, we're able to offer competitive rates and flexible options. So get the money you need for school today at scstudentloan.org.
Hey guys, it's Jay Phillips for AAA Heating and Air. You know, every homeowner's dream is a house that cleans itself, right? Well, we might not be able to do that, but what if you could clean your air without lifting a finger, even when you're sleeping? AAA Heating and Air offers indoor air quality products that do just that. These products work with your HVAC system to improve your home's air quality. Cleaning the air eliminates common household odors, removes allergens and pollutants, and can even improve sleep and reduce the spread of some viruses. And remember, at AAA Heating and Air, home comfort is their top priority. Call today to schedule a seasonal maintenance appointment. Let AAA Heating and Air's qualified technicians put your mind at ease with a thorough inspection and cleaning of your heating and cooling system. Join their popular AAA Comfort Club to take advantage of extras like flexible visits, added discounts, and priority scheduling. Let AAA Heating and Air take your comfort to the next level. Call 803-677-1500 and schedule today.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station. Throws it! He throws it down! The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head and Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
All right, guys, what is up? Welcome in Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by our friends at Firehouse Subs. Had some Firehouse Subs yesterday, Chris.
Ooh, what'd you go with?
Excellent, as always. I went back to my brisket add bacon, so.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. Perfect, as always, from our guy, Larry and Firehouse Subs, man. So I understand you had Mr. Busey on.
We did have Mr.
Busey
on.
Garnet Trust Hour. David Busey. I was sitting here. We didn't have Tyler to keep us on track and text us yesterday and say, hey, guys, what topics you want to talk about? So, you know, I think actually this gives us a good excuse, though, to start our position-by-position breakdown that because we're getting into the dead period of the offseason. And I do think there's some interesting talking points there with our guy, Boosie in terms of, is he going to be a starter this year? And I think there's competition for that spot. Did you ask him if he's going to be a starter, or you stayed away from that?
I did not. That would have been one of those controversial questions I told him. So the funny thing, I don't know if you got to listen, Wes. Did you realize there was a discrepancy, kind of, not really in the official book? Remember the punt block last year against SC State?
Mm-hmm.
They blocked the punt, and then Vicari's like, oh, I'll pick this up and run it back for a touchdown.
Yes.
Because it went, I don't know, 20 yards. Well, if you look on the legendary SF Cocking YouTube channel, which will hopefully continue, Maurice Brown, the second, Mo Brown, is credited with the block. In the stat book, and I had not noticed this, in the stat book and on his official Gamecocks Online profile, David Busey is credited for it, for getting that block. And so I asked him, hey, not to stir the pot, but is that right? Was it both of you? He's like, oh, yeah, no, I definitely got a hand on it. So.
Did he say they definitely both did? Or
no, he left that alone. He just said, I definitely got a hand on it.
So he blocked.
I think it was him. Mo was coming straight on, and Busey was coming from the side, and he was the one that was supposed to go for the block. So anyway.
Wait, who's he?
David Busey.
Okay, Busey.
He was coming off the edge there. Okay. So anyway, he got the block. Point of me telling you that is, A, now so you know, but B, that was the most controversial question I asked. I did not say, hey, man, you going to be a starter this year? I didn't go there.
So I think you can go back. This is probably, a month or so ago by now, when Beamer was in Charleston, and he was asked about the safety position. And, I think if you look at the DB group in general, Vicari Swain, he's going to be a starter at corner. Judge Collier, going to be a starter at corner. I would imagine Quashid Scott going to be a starter at nickel, I would think.
I go the other direction, actually.
What, Gerald Kilgore?
I think it's G. Kilgore right now. Right now.
Did you put that on your depth chart on Gamecock Central? No, you didn't.
We left that one out. That would have been a really good one. I didn't include the full depth chart in the piece that we did. I think I had G. Kilgore as a starter, but we didn't debate that one, so we can debate it now.
But you did. So you took out where we had our depth charts listed.
Mm-hmm. That was a lot of work. Probably shouldn't have done that.
Did you save them at all, or you just?
I don't think I saved them.
Oh, okay, all right.
Thought we had them in the memory bank.
Well, all right. Let's stick with Busey first, and we'll go back to nickel. Beamer, there's two different ways you'll notice Beamer will say things. Mm-hmm. The one way is he will throw in the hey, every position is up for grabs. Every position there's going to be competition, right? Every position is open except for quarterback. But the way he answered it, because he was asked, hey, is that position settled? I can't remember exactly how it was asked. But anyway, and he kind of said, look, if we assume Peyton Williams is a starter, which is kind of the way of saying, he is a starter right now. It would be a surprise. Peyton Williams, he was a defensive player of the spring. It'd be a surprise, man, if he's not a starter at one of the safety spots. But then you got to the other one, and Beamer said, look, David Busey took the majority of the first-team reps in spring ball, but that position is not locked in yet.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's where I think you get into the Jazavian Currents. You get into Kendall Daniels. You would have gotten into Gerald Kilgore possibly being the running for that, but it does feel like he is more in the running at nickelback at this point, although he could always slide back to safety if you felt like that got the best five on the field. That's always been the goal with Torian Gray, always been the goal with Clayton White. Get your best five on the field in the secondary in this kind of 4-2-5 base defense. So I took that. I think we knew that, but I took that kind of interest, like a confirmation, okay, this is, if you were going to say, what are some position groups for starters that remain genuinely up for grabs, like beyond the just, hey, everybody's competing, but like genuinely up for grabs. I think safety beside Peyton Williams is firmly in that category.
Yep. Because you got Busey, who is, he's been here 2 years. This is year 3. He's played in every game he's been eligible to play in, 25 games between last year, 2024 and 2025. He's only started one game, which was last year's Missouri game when DQ Smith was out with an injury. And then I think you have that, but you also have the factor of Jazavian Currents coming in here and, frankly, being pretty impressive. And having some other guys, you've got that. You've also got what you said, which is how do you get your best 5 on the field? I think that's the reason that Jalen Kilgore stayed at nickel throughout his career. Like, we all kind of wondered, man, what would he look like at safety? I think the staff did too, but they felt like he was the best nickel. So you kind of figure out who's the best 5 and who's the best at each of those positions. So could be Busey, got a lot of first-team reps, but Currents is coming on, I think, and did well during the spring, looks great physically. He's got that alpha type of mentality that I think, endears him to a lot of people, including the staff. And now he's going to have a summer in preseason as well to try to make an additional move. So that one's pretty open. I think the nickel battle is a very real thing. And I think, corner, Shane Beamer's mentioned this too, when you look at just the depth there, who's the third guy? Who's the fourth guy? Can the 2 guys that you project to be the starters in Collier and Swain, can they take a step forward? That's something that he's been pretty upfront about too, that, hey, those guys, yeah, they're our starters, but they've got to take that next step too.
Yeah, and so here's the way I look at David Busey. I think, like with anything in college ball, like there are levels to this, there are levels to everything. And so if you're coming in as an athlete, and let's be honest, man, I mean, David was not highly recruited, highly ranked, highly rated, however you want to say it. Came in, and there was kind of some pretty quick buzz. Like, hey, look, this dude, there's something to him. He's physical. He's a willing hitter. He kind of grabs your attention in true scrimmage settings where he's allowed to go out there and hit a little bit. And so I think if you're going to look at this like levels, you're going to look at this like thresholds. Like if a guy gets to your campus, even for the highly rated ones, the first kind of threshold, the first level is, can you help this football team? And David Busey has already proved through his first 2 years like he can help the team. He's going to contribute. He's going to be a special teams guy, and he's going to be, at the very least, a reserve on defense. Well, I think for me, when guys come in and play early, my next question becomes, do you have the upside? Is there kind of the developmental upside to where can you be a starter in this league? And then it's like, all right, can you be an impact starter in this league? So I'm always curious with guys like Busey who, let's just call it for what it is. He is not going to be as physically imposing as Jazavian Currents is.
Right.
Currents he was a borderline 5-star, like high 4-star guy for a reason. So does Busey kind of get settled into one of these? He's going to always help, but he's always going to kind of be in that 2 line in the depth chart? Or does he elevate? Because you actually have a great example probably starting right there in that secondary in Peyton Williams, who for the first half of his career was definitely locked into that. He's a good player, but he's a special teams reserve guy. And in the eyes of the staff has continued to elevate, build that trust to where now he's going to be a second-year starter.
Yeah, and the other thing in all this is you can't rule out guys late in their career because of not only the example of Peyton Williams, but Torian Gray's got several of those. Like, remember Darius Rush? Darius comes here, athletic dude, raw, came here as a receiver, and Torian gets his hands on him a little bit later in his career, and then all of a sudden he's a starter and an NFL guy. Jalen Foster, who's on the staff now. Jalen Foster is a former walk-on who, he transferred from, I think, Garner-Webb, right? All-American. You know, like you can't really rule out, like, even if we're sitting here thinking, I think this guy's ceiling is, hey, maybe he's a starter but not an impact starter. He's got some guys that have become impact players that maybe you wouldn't think would ultimately turn into that. So, you know, I agree with you, though. Like, what level does Busey end up on? You know, this is just year 3. You know, we'll see what happens. He might have up to 5 years, you know, here soon. So what will he look like then? But I think for the short term right now, you know, can he get that starting job? He'll probably play more than he's ever played, you know, which is he's played in every single game so far, mostly on special teams. He's probably going to see the most snaps he's ever had at safety, but can he hold off Currents and others for that starting job? And then if he does, you know, how well does he play? Carolina's in a spot now that this is a decent amount of turnover for them, you know, in the secondary. They've had some guys back there that are, you know, you got a legit freak in Eamon Worry. You've got a guy in Kilgore who was a former 4-star recruit who, you know, could go cover guys man-to-man, could tackle. He could do a lot of things for you, too. And so they've got, remember Clayton White, after they lost Nicky, he's we're going to have to play like more regular defense now. You know, maybe they're a little bit more in that category this year, but who can emerge in terms of that safety starting spot? But then just across the board, you know, what does your 2 deep look like at each spot? Those are questions I think they're still trying to solve right now.
Well, I also think, man, I kind of put Vakari Swain and Judge Collier in the category of like, hey, that's a check, like that's taken care of. If you go back and listen to what Torian Gray said I think it was Torian, not Clayton. It was definitely one of them. Might have been Clayton. It was one of them in the press conference. They basically said, these guys still have room to grow. And it really caught my attention. Do you remember that? And it was kind of like, hey, you know, Vakari and Judge are doing the things they need to do, but we kind of need to see they're not where we want them to be. They're not where they need to be. I believe it's
Clayton, when we had him out at Pro Day on the show, the way that he said it, and I don't want to butcher it, but it really caught my attention because it was like,
did they say it in the press conference too, or is that what I'm thinking of?
I think it was both.
Okay.
I think it was both.
Right.
But Clayton definitely said it, and it was like, it kind of just caught your attention because, you know, obviously every player has room to get better, but just kind of that gap between where they are and what it's kind of, we need more from them, you know, to take that next step. It definitely caught my attention.
All right, we'll talk nickelback spot. We'll talk the third corner spot. And then I know you are talking a little bit of baseball search. We'll get into that on the other side here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Since that win at Clemson by the Gamecocks, things haven't gone well. And when things don't go well, it's time to look back on the days when things were well. Yeah, let's spin back to the good old days on the Game Network.
Line drive, right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series.
Sellers in the pocket. Up in the pocket, gonna run inside the 20, 10. Lenore Sellers going left side, 5. Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown. Touchdown, Lenore Sellers. From 20 yards out, the Gamecocks take the lead at Death Valley.
Now that's some good feels right there. From 107.5 The Game and the Game Network. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com.
Get Memorial Day savings all month long at Herndon Chevrolet. Save up to $11,000 off new trucks. Plus, great deals on SUVs and a huge selection ready to drive home today. Shop HerndonChevy.com or stop by, and together, let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile. Smile.
Example offer stock number 260436. Must finance with GMF. Subject to prior sales. See dealer for complete details. Offers expire 5/31/26.
You can count on hot summers in the Midlands.
You can count on those South Carolina roads biting.
And when you end up with a broken windshield, you can certainly count on Absolute Glass.
With one phone call, we can repair, replace, and recalibrate your car's windshield.
We'll handle the insurance calls, and for most folks, it won't cost you a dime to let us fix your windshield.
Absolute Glass has been voted Lexington's best for 15 years straight.
So call Absolute Glass at 951-7200.
Or find us online at absoluteglassinc.com.
And remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Are you calling your IT company over and over for the same issue, getting passed around to people who can't help? Or worse, getting hacked after being told you were protected? That's not normal. At IntelliSystems, real engineers answer the phone live, resolve issues quickly, and explain things in plain English. If something feels off with your current IT provider, it probably is. Call IntelliSystems today and see what better IT support should actually feel like. IntelliSystems.com.
I'm Jason Reynolds. You may wonder if you're better off hiring a big corporate law firm with hundreds of lawyers, or should you go local?
I'm Stephen Samuels. With the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, you get me, or Jason, or Michael, or David. You have your own lawyer who can go toe-to-toe with anybody from big law to big insurance.
Here's how you know. Call 803-779-4000. You won't get a robot. You'll get Abby or one of our other wonderful people taking your call. Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Worn tires make it harder to stop safely, and these Columbia roads don't help either. At Wetzel's Automotive, we carry a full range of top brand tires to keep you safe in every season. As your local auto shop, you'll always get personal service, expert installation, and free rotations with every purchase. We make sure your tires are mounted, balanced, and aligned the right way so you drive with confidence. We'll take care of everything you need in one stop without the runaround you get at big box stores. Visit us at 2017 Augusta Road in West Columbia or online at wetzelsauto.com.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of Whirlpool appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Whirlpool offers bigger, better, and more efficient appliances, and Jeffers McGill offers the best in customer service and low prices. Jeffers McGill and Whirlpool, your home team.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
All right, guys, welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover. Chris, Wes here, talking Gamecock football defensive backs, and going to get a little bit into the baseball coaching search as well. Let's close out our talk about the secondary, Chris, and you surprised me a little bit, actually. So Gerald Kilgore right now, and I guess this probably, because I was thinking about, all right, what content are we going to do on the site heading into the summer? Like, what do we consider to be a true old school position battle?
Mm-hmm.
Because even some of this stuff, man, like the coaches are going to push back on this, but the more college ball becomes professionalized and the more the guys are paid based on kind of a structure of you're supposed to be QB1 or RB1 or wide receiver 1, the more you're just old school, like traditional, just like this is a position battle. I don't know, man. It's just a little bit different. It really is. And I know every coach is going to say, hey, we're going to play may the best man win. But there are different pressures involved now. So what are our true position battles to track on this team? With, you do still have to put the little caveat, like if you're Matt Fuller, I think, took RB1 coming out of the spring.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just go chill on the couch all summer and expect to be RB1 in preseason ball. Like, you still have to complete the task. But I think safety beside Peyton, and then I personally probably would have leaned a little bit towards Quashid Scott, which, by the way, we also confirmed is Quashid Scott, not Quashid, which I was definitely saying Quashid when he was being recruited to Carolina. Quashid Scott, transfer from Kentucky. I kind of just figured, hey, he's transferring in. He's going to be the starter. That's kind of the role you envisioned for him. But this Gerald Kilgore sort of move from safety to nickelback, where his brother was so good for the last 2 years. Your feeling is Gerald could be the starter there?
Could. Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I think, and look, this is one, like I put it in the positional battle.
Is that sourced or opinion?
Some of both.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I try as much as possible, not just to pull things out of.
Well, you can give an opinion.
Yeah. It's some of both. It's my opinion based on some things that I've heard. But you're right. Like on paper, you've got G. Kilgore has been here 2 seasons. He's going into year 3. Like Busey, transferred here, has played also all 25 games over those 2 seasons. Also has primarily played special teams. Played reserve safety last year, so there is a positional move here involved where, remember, going into the spring, we were kind of going, all right, is Kilgore a safety? Is he going to play nickel? And he's gotten a good bit of time at that nickel spot. And then you bring in Scott from Kentucky, transferred in from Kentucky, originally from South Carolina, who was like, all right, that makes sense, right? Like, you're kind of, if you're gaming it out in your head, if you're putting it down on paper, you go, well, that looks like maybe the Jalen Kilgore replacement. But I think it's a little bit of like a not so fast thing in there. I do think you got to keep in mind, Gerald Kilgore, even though he's playing nickel more than he has, this is his 3rd season here. He's been in this defense for those 3 seasons. He has a good understanding of it. His brother played the nickel spot. Those guys are close. And so I think coming out of the spring, there was more first team for Gerald Kilgore. Now, could it change? Yeah. I mean, that's why you don't have just spring ball and then you go sit on the couch, like you said, and then go start the season up and roll them out against Kent State. You got summer, you got preseason camp, which is going to be highly competitive at this spot and many other ones. But I put him in kind of that, not only like don't write him off, but for me, he might be the guy to watch right there in terms of your starter, while I'm still keeping an eye on Quashid Scott to, hey, can he make a move and take that spot at some point?
Well, I think, too, man, there's the conversation there of if both those guys are playing well, it goes back to who are your best 5. Because if you look at Q Scott, he also played safety some at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So, does that change our conversation completely about who's involved at safety? If you're like, hey, we feel like now nickelback is the best spot for Gerald Kilgore, I also wonder, you talked about the defense shifting a little bit with no Nicky this past year. The nickelbacks will be a little bit different than what you had with Jalen. And Jalen on his NFL profile is listed at 6'1", 211. I always pictured him in my head as being he's longer than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, those long arms.
Long arms. I kind of thought he played at like a 6'2", 220 style guy almost. You look at Q, 5'11", 200. You look at Gerald, 6 foot 210, and so Gerald a little bit closer to his brother's size, but especially if Q is the guy, you almost maybe have to look at this thing a little bit differently in terms of how you're going to call this thing, if you're Clayton White, how you approach it, because I think Jalen was a true hybrid nickel in that you could have him on the field on running downs. You could have him on the field on passing downs. He was just a 3-down, 4-down player. There may actually be a little bit more, well, if Q is not the starter, is he on the field on third downs? Just because he's a little bit smaller guy than Jalen was, and by how they are listed, smaller than Gerald Kilgore as well. Are you a little bit more like mix and match at that spot than we've seen you have to do in the past? Because they talked about that on the defensive line. You have so many different skill sets there. You might be more, hey, let's match up based on opponent, based on down and distance.
Yeah, and you saw, I think back to 2022 when South Carolina would play nickel and, you're playing third down and you look out there and you kind of were like, this is 3 corners, that they had. They had Rush and Cam Smith, Dial out there. Do you mix and match a little bit more? Because you're right. Kilgore, he's like this big, looks like a safety or even a smaller linebacker. Jalen Kilgore was, and it's like, all right, go cover Luther Burden. And he could do that, and not everybody can do that. But it was interesting, and this is something to keep in mind. Busey was telling me for our conversation last hour, kind of asking him the differences. Well, hey, you've played safety and nickel, mostly safety, but you've played some nickel too. What are the differences? And he's like, man, nickel in this scheme, you're playing man coverage, 80% of the time. So it's something that they really want people to be able to do if you're at that spot. So that'll factor into this thing.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, hey, we're going to talk a little Gamecock baseball coaching search here on the other side. You're listening to Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, brought to you by our friends at Firehouse Subs.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
If the Gamecocks hit a grand slam, you can win cash. It's the Crescent Construction Grand Slam Giveaway. If the Gamecocks don't hit a grand slam, the pot goes up $25 a game. Just go to 1075thegame.com to register.
Unlock the savings at Boost Mobile and save up to $600 a year. I've been scouting these big carriers for a minute now, and I've seen them pull the same play 1,000 times. They promise you the world, then hit you with a price hike right when the game gets tight. But Boost Mobile, their $25 a month unlimited wireless plan is the most consistent player on the floor. No contracts and no price hikes. Unlock the savings today at boostmobile.com/unlock. Based on average annual single line payment of AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile customers compared to 12 months on the Boost Mobile unlimited wireless plan as of January 2026. For full offer details, visit boostmobile.com.
You think a ticket for not wearing your seatbelt is the worst that could happen. A fine, an inconvenience, a little embarrassment. But then comes the crash. There are injuries, a hospital bed, the long road to recovery, the moments you'll miss. Suddenly, a ticket doesn't seem so bad. That ticket? That was nothing. Click it. Don't risk it. Paid for by NHTSA.
Powered by Integrated Media, the Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia, the Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass. Gamecock Nation, it's getting hot in here. And at Gamecock Traditions, they're turning up the heat with 30% off sweats all May long. That's right, hoodies, crews, and more. Now 30% off. Whether you're gearing up for cool mornings, late night tailgates, or just repping the Cox in style, now is the time to stock up and save big. But hurry, this offer ends May 31st. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Gamecock Traditions. For Gamecocks, by Gamecocks.
If your lawnmower sat all winter, you're running out of time to get it ready for spring. Now for a limited time, Cato's Power Equipment is offering special spring service pricing with push more tune-ups starting at $100 and zero-turn services starting as low as $200. Let Cato's get your equipment tuned up and ready for the mowing season ahead. Need help getting your mower to us? Pickup and delivery starts at just $50. Don't wait. Call or stop by Cato's Power Equipment today and get your mower ready before the grass takes over. Visit catospowerequipment.com.
Are you considering a new roof or repairs but unsure where to start? Crescent Construction offers free roofing estimates to help you make informed decisions with ease. Our expert team is ready to assess your needs and provide comprehensive insights. Visit our website, crescentcarolina.com, to learn more about our services and schedule your free estimate today. Trust us to guide you through the process with professionalism and care. Don't wait. Contact us today at crescentcarolina.com.
Get Memorial Day savings all month long at Herndon Chevrolet. Save up to $11,000 off new trucks. Plus, great deals on SUVs and a huge selection ready to drive home today. Shop HerndonChevy.com or stop by, and together, let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Example offer stock number 260436. Must finance with GMF. Subject to prior sales. See dealer for complete details. Offers expire 5/31/26.
Are you calling your IT company over and over for the same issue? Getting passed around to people who can't help? Or worse, getting hacked after being told you were protected? That's not normal. At IntelliSystems, real engineers answer the phone live, resolve issues quickly, and explain things in plain English. If something feels off with your current IT provider, it probably is. Call IntelliSystems today and see what better IT support should actually feel like. IntelliSystems.com.
Hey guys, it's Jay Phillips for our good friends at Integrated Media. Summertime is here. You're outside spending time with the family, and what a great opportunity to call Integrated and get an outdoor home theater system installed so you can enjoy your favorite games, your favorite shows and movies without having to go back inside or worry about equipment that shouldn't be out there. Built to be outside all year long, even in our climate. Call Integrated Media. Make that happen for you and your family. 803-948-8327. The best in home theater is Integrated Media.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
All right, welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover brought to you by Firehouse Subs. Going to get into a little bit of Gamecock baseball here, Chris. I don't know about you, man. I found myself, obviously there was not any South Carolina baseball to watch this weekend. I found myself going around, let me see what Coastal's doing leading into the weekend. Watched a little bit of Georgia Tech. Texted our friend Kendall Smith, who was working the sideline at the ACC tournament. Say, hey, give me some vibes on the Georgia Tech coach. What are you seeing there? And if you've been reading on Gamecock Central, our guys Jack and Kevin have been going through sort of just these profiles on each potential coach. I'm a little bit struck, man, by just how different of a list it is this time compared to 2 years ago. Like, the fact that there is almost no overlap between the names you would have been hearing this time 2 years ago, obviously with Ray Tanner running the search then, and now with Jeremiah Donati running this search. Like, I don't know that we've heard hardly any names pop up that were front and center names 2 years ago, you know?
And are some of those names on the list unbeknownst, maybe? But like publicly, they certainly haven't come out, you know?
Yeah,
I assume you're talking, Tom Walter from Wake.
Yeah, don't you feel like if a lot of, like, it's not like those names were secret last time. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like those names would have leaked out.
It seems like it. Yeah.
There would be no reason for them not to if they were leaking out last time.
Yeah, it is a different list. I think it's a different approach, safe to say, which some people are probably like, that's good, you know? I mean, obviously with what's happened here over the last, 3 coaches that have been in place, particularly this last one, you need to have a different direction, which I think we've just heard enough so far about how Jeremiah Donati's running this search. I mean, there's a lot of differences. It's a different AD, it's different people involved. It's looking at different qualities. It's a different search firm. Like, there's a lot of differences in here. So, and frankly, I mean, like if you look at since you mentioned Georgia Tech, I mean, James Ramsey wasn't a thing 2 years ago as a head coach. Mm-hmm. And now he's sitting here. Georgia Tech's 48-9,
They're really good. Yes. So I think some of it is, some of those names in the past, for whatever reason, they're not going to be as much on the board. There were a couple guys that, this past offseason, for instance, were in the mix a couple years ago, and they took different jobs, and so now they're going into year 2 in that job, and they're really good jobs also. Some of it is there's some different guys that have emerged, since that time that are now, maybe they were assistants then and they're head coaches now. Just a different group this time around. Yeah, Ramsey is front and center just in my mind right now. Not anything related to the actual search itself, but just watched a little bit of them over the weekend, and he's on our front page right now, man. These guys can absolutely bash the baseball. And some of that, yes, is approach. It's coaching, it's development, it's evaluation, it's putting the right tools in their hands in order to let them develop as hitters. Some of it, this is baseball. It's just getting the right guys, man. Some of it is being able to put together the right roster to go win. I think that there is no perfect hire, but if the one thing you can say about a guy is, well, he's only been a head coach for 1 year, that says to me that's a pretty darn good resume. He's only been there a year. Yeah, but there are programs in this league that hired assistants who have never been coaches at the, head coaches, and have been very, very successful in the SEC. So to me, okay, he's only got 1 year. Well, that's infinitely more head coaching experience than guys I've seen come in. Look at what Tennessee did. Look at what Georgia did. Auburn. I mean, they're coaches that have been very successful in the SEC. I don't get caught up in necessarily have you been a head coach for 10 years and all that stuff. To me, I think here's what my goal would be if I'm South Carolina. I want to buy the stock before it goes through the roof. Because if a coach is already at, Florida or Arkansas or wherever, Vanderbilt, if a coach is already there and doing well, they're not leaving to go somewhere else. No matter how good of a history South Carolina has in baseball, despite what we've seen the last 2 years. So to me, whether that is a coach who is a head coach but at, quote unquote smaller school, or that assistant who is going to go on to be one of the top up and coming young head coaches in the sport, the real goal to me is not even necessarily, I think there's a distinction here, man. I'm not trying to hire the best resume. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to hire the best coach. And those two things may sound the same, but they're actually not. I mean, Georgia is a phenomenal baseball team this year. Their head coach did not have head coaching experience when they hired him. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you've got a lot of different, LSU. Jay Johnson was a head coach at Arizona. So that step up made sense. Arizona's been a really good baseball program for a long time. They beat Carolina in the 2013 College World Series and won the thing. Really good. But, stepping up from Arizona to LSU, that makes sense. Tennessee wasn't very good when Tony V got there. He had been an assistant. You just mentioned Wes Johnson. You've got, some other guy. Dave Van Horn's been at Arkansas forever. He probably, unless it's like a Frank Martin, I'm not happy with my administration, that's probably not a guy. Mike Bianco's been at Ole Miss forever. Jim Schlossnagle going from A&M to Texas was kind of an outlier situation, right? A&M's a really good baseball job, but Schloss was close with Chris Del Conte, the AD there. So, a lot of guys, O'Sullivan, this was a long time ago. He was an assistant at Clemson when he got the Florida job, and he's had some other opportunities to leave and never has. And so he's probably, finishing his career there. So you're right. We know South Carolina's looking more for a head coach. What do the odds favor? It's probably not, hey, we're going to pull a head coach who's been a head coach at an SEC rival school for 15 years. I'm not saying it won't happen. It just doesn't seem as likely. And, man, when you look at somebody like Ramsey, again, doesn't have as much to do with the search here. We think to some degree, at least his name's on that list. To some degree, it really seems like he's happy there. They gave him his first job. He's from the area. His wife cheered there. You know, there's all those factors. But what he's done in a short amount of time is just a one-year sample, but, man, it's pretty dang good. They got 8 guys batting over 300. They got 2 guys batting over 400. You know, so their lineup from top to bottom has been really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are no slam dunks, but
no,
in my opinion, like and I think Snall makes a ton of sense. If you can hire Kevin Snall, makes a lot of sense. But for me, James Ramsey is right up there with him. Like if he's willing to leave Atlanta, which I think that's the part that you're just uncertain about, then I would be thinking very, very, very strongly about trying to make that happen. How much, if I was South Carolina, but how much does the fact that the difference between the haves and the have-nots, which you're talking about SEC versus the ACC, or, you know, if you're talking Schnall, SEC versus Sun Belt, or you're talking SEC versus Big 12, which with Fitzgerald at Kansas, how much... Like, I'm not saying South Carolina is the richest program in America, but how much does the fact that you are going to have that SEC backing and that the difference in the SEC and the Big Ten and everybody else has been growing more and more, you know, the last few years? Like, I think if you're Donati and this administration, you are going to be leveraging that to a T. Like, a guy like James Ramsey, there's a ton of reasons why he would stay at Georgia Tech. But there's also a ton of reasons why he would probably at least talk to you and see what the word is, basically.
Yeah, and it's not only well, and you got almost no downside too. The worst outcome is that you not the worst, but you know, you get a new contract, which he would get anyway. He's getting that anyway. Based on what he's done just in 1 year, it's going to be a shock if he doesn't. He's going to get a new contract somewhere, that's for sure. But yeah, he's a very fascinating candidate to me. But you're right; it's not just for a coach stepping up to just quote unquote an SEC job. Yes, those are coveted, but also I think it's pretty clear. Jeremiah Donati is not just settling for, hey, come here, this is an SEC job. It seems like he's really laying out the path of, here's how we're going to support your program. And what that means is roster building resources. Mm-hmm. You know, we've heard some whispers even around some big SEC schools. They're maybe not getting supported like they want. And it really seems like Donati is bound and determined that whoever the new coach is going to get that support for the roster here at South Carolina.
Yep, no doubt. All right, hey, we're going to close it out on the other side. You're listening to Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Chris and Wes, brought to you by Firehouse Subs.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Hey, this is Jen from 107.5 The Game and The Game Network. If you run a diner, a bakery, a coffee shop, burger joint, or a pizza spot, or that hidden gem everybody should know about, how would you like to get the word out about your business without spending a dime? We got you. All you have to do is text your name, your business, and your phone number to 803-404-6100, and we'll be in touch. There's no catch. Times are tough. We're here just trying to help you get folks in the door of your business.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
The Cleveland Cavaliers are delusional, and owner Dan Gilbert should look to blow up the team. After they got humiliated by the Knicks in a 4-game sweep in the Eastern Conference Final, Donovan Mitchell says they did it to themselves. James Harden believes the Cavs are the better team, and Kenny Atkinson believes analytically this series was actually close. Zero accountability from these players or coaches. I'm Nick Costa.
furnished by IntelliBrands. Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Get an Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact. Improve your flexibility and balance, strengthen and tone your legs.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better, and it makes me feel stronger too.
My circulation is moving. I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
It's so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. And for a limited time, get a free upgrade to our deluxe bundle with a faster motor, sport mat, and wireless remote. Call 800-555-1212. That's 800-555-1212. 800-555-1212 now. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition.
This is Mark Lynch. Lindsey Graham is attacking me personally over mistakes I made more than 40 years ago because he knows this race is slipping away. But God used those mistakes to shape 4 decades of counseling, ministry, and helping people struggling with addiction to rebuild their lives. I look forward to helping all South Carolinians as I've helped thousands of addicts over the last 40 years. Vote Mark Lynch on June 9th for a better future for South Carolina.
Paid for and authorized by Lynch for Senate.
Is your crawl space damp or musty? Water in your crawl space can cause wood to rot and creates an environment for mold and mildew that can make its way inside your home. Canty Foundation Specialist specializes in crawl space repair. Call us today for your free inspection so you can have the peace of mind knowing your crawl space is dry and your home is protected. Call today, 803-424-8380, or visit cantycanfixit.com.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, Mom, now that I have an after-school job, I think I want to buy a drum kit.
Okay, Rockstar. Let's look at your account.
When kids start making money, Chase has easy-to-use tools and expert bankers to help them learn how to manage it.
And next month, I'll buy the bass drum and the cymbals. Oh, and maybe some noise-canceling headphones for you.
Aw, you've thought of everything.
Help kids save, budget, and build financial independence, all with Chase. That's good for kids and good for parents. Visit your local Chase branch and get started.
Account subject to approval. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
All right, guys, welcome back. Closing it out. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Wes and Chris here. Chris, you seen this Fernando Tatis Jr. stuff with big league advance investors?
I spent a little, probably too much time looking into that the other day when I first saw it.
Yeah, he owes BLA, Big League Advance, $3.74 million of future earnings, and I guess tried to sue them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of social media discourse about this, and also I wonder if we start to see more of this involved in the NIL rev share kind of landscape, because it's already. I didn't realize I was reading some articles on it. It's already been a part of it, but I don't feel like this has come across my desk in terms of, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like we've heard much about this, if at all, from a South Carolina perspective. Have you?
No.
So what it is Tatis signed a deal with BLA, Big League Advance, and this was when he had not made his MLB debut yet. Like, he's a young guy. They give him $2 million. And if he makes it to the big leagues, which he obviously did, he has to contribute back to them 10% of his career earnings. So I've seen a lot of people respond to this and say this was a scam, this is a payday loan, this is a taking advantage of the youth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I actually, Chris, think I lean heavily towards, until I hear more, the BLA guys, because there's one key distinction. It is not a loan. They did not loan him $2 million. This is not a payday loan. We're going to get you at 30% APR, and then you have to pay it off for the next 10 years because you needed a little bit of money to pay your bills. This is $2 million, and it's easy to look at it now because Tatis made it big. If he had gotten injured and not made it big, he still has $2 million, which is the entire. This is a form of insurance, essentially. You're giving yourself, because you're a big enough prospect, you have enough talent that you are worth $2 million to these investors for the potential of being able to recoup it later on.
Yeah.
So
it's private equity deal. It's an investment for BLA because they're, it's similar. If you have a company and you came to me and said, Chris, will you invest $2 million in my company? My answer will first be no, because I don't have it. But if I did, show me why your company is going to grow. It's similar to that, right? And if I put the money in, when you cash out or whatever it is, then I get money back on my investment. And so it's the same deal for BLA. If you're a baseball player, you get this. Yeah, we're thinking of it as an advance. Some people are. No, it's kind of an investment. And so, look, a lot of the kids, do they just need the money at that point? Yeah, that's probably a big impetus for doing it. But also you can, and this is kind of how they market it too, you're investing in your future so you can try, to have more money, frankly, and resources to be able to get there. I saw Ellie De La Cruz has a deal with them. I saw on social media that there's an attorney who says that he's litigating a case for an NFL player who signed a similar deal, and they're suing the financial advisor for recommending the deal and then mismanaging the proceeds, right? So, you're going to, hey, I got this financial advisor. Hey, you can get this $2 million if you sign this deal. And of course, I don't know what actually happened. We'll see. But we're probably going to see, it's coming out more and more of these deals have been signed, and we're kind of seeing the back end of what it looks like now.
Yeah, and so the total number he's going to owe them over this contract is $34 million, or around $34 million, because he signed a $340 million 14-year contract in 2021. So, but dude, I would still argue in terms of value to him. Now, Tatis's father played Major League Baseball, so this is not, and the contracts weren't what they are now, but made really, really good money. So this is not, somebody who is coming from a family with no money and got preyed upon. That's a layer to this. But here's the thing, man. If you had no money, and I said, hey man, here's $2 million, what is of greater value to you as a person? Having $2 million at 18 when you would have had nothing, or the $34 million you're going to have to give to BLA when you have $340 million coming in over the next decade? The $2 million you got, actually, that was, by the number, it was not a bigger number, but that was more money to you in terms of importance and in terms of value than having to give away $100 million when you're already a 100 millionaire.
100 millionaire. 300 millionaire.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Maybe did you invest a little piece of it so it's not quite as big of a gap, too?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I when I first read this, I thought I was going to be mad and all against BLA, but I think I'm on their side. So, all right, guys, we'll be back. Tyler will be back from the race tomorrow. He is Chris. I'm Wes. This has been Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. I'd tell you who's coming up next, but I actually personally am not sure. So hang around and find out.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
All right, y'all, as we close out the hour, let's remind you about our friends over at Integrated Media and what they can do for your home or your business. They've been to my home. They've been to Wes's home. We tell you about them all the time. IntegratedMediaInc.com. Or here's a recommendation. Go check out their Instagram, their Facebook, Integrated Media Columbia. You can see some examples of some real past work that they've done at homes. Everything from as simple as mounting a new TV for you to security and cameras and complete smart home systems where you can control your lights, devices, thermostat, and those security systems and cameras from the touch of a button, whether you're upstairs, in the next room, outside, or away from your home at work, on vacation. Keep track of everything in your home, optimize it, make it smart by going to IntegratedMediaInc.com. Give Michael and Nathan and their team a call, 803-948-8327, a true tech and AV one-stop shop, IntegratedMediaInc.com.
Have you had a broken windshield complement to